So what do you think, though? What are your quick thoughts on the whole stadium thing and Messi and or even Cavaliers a cheer for Messi?
No, because we are celebrity worshippers.
Oh goodness!
That is what we are, and a celebrity come. We are going to turn out,
what an indictment!
With colours and
pink.
That means
I had Andrew Lumpton writing.
For one thing, I representing a man for Uptown TV.
Bad we bad Gaza, bad we bad, bad we bad Gaza.
Ya sama batachinoi, besamai emetnor, semi kades mangustienta, fegadi besamai indionech, endi hu bemedir tihun, yala tenjarachnen sitenzare, bedelachnem ikkar belen, igna yebedelnen ikkaren demenil, awada fetna matagban, kakifu adenenen fi, mengus tiante antanantana, highly maskan, lizleale.
In the name of the African ancestors who began the march of humankind in the womb of Mother Africa, we ask these ancestors to be with us, to strengthen us, and give us a vision for the future. In the name of the African ancestors who began the march of humankind in the womb of Mother Africa and marched down the Nile, laying the foundations for human civilization and culture, we ask these Africans to be with us, to strengthen us, and give us a vision for the future. In the name of these African ancestors who built their pyramids and their temples to their God concepts, to their principles, and to their moral values, who left us a legacy of architectural and monumental building unparalleled in the history of the world, we ask these ancestors who built the pyramids, who built the temples, to be with us, to strengthen us, and give us a vision for the future. We ask these African ancestors who took this African culture and extended it throughout Africa, building the stone cities of Zimbabwe, building the empires of the Sudan, Ghana, Mali, and Songhai, building the Swahili city-states along the east coast of Africa, and in Christian Africa asking King Lalibela and giving him the courage to build the 12 churches of Lalibela from the ground down, monuments to the world. We ask these Africans to spread this culture to the Dogo and to the Akan and to the Yoruba and to the Bankango and to the Zulu. We ask these Africans to be with us, to strengthen us, and give us a vision for the future. In the name of the Africans who opened up Africa, opened up the Nile Valley to other cultures and other peoples, and they came in and nurtured themselves on the African greatness. First coming in early were the ancient Hebrews, and they synthesized this culture and produced Judaism. Later coming in were the Christians, and they synthesized this culture and produced Christianity. Coming in were also the Greeks, who took the African culture, synthesized it, and produced Greek civilization. And then later, the Prophet Muhammad, and with the Arabs coming into the Nile Valley, they synthesized the culture and produced Islam. We ask these African ancestors, who as part of their legacy laid the foundations for Judaism, Christianity, Islam, and Greek civilization, to be with us, to strengthen us, and give us a vision for the future. We ask those African ancestors pulled out of Africa, taken to the hells of North America, South America, the Caribbean, maintaining the spirit of African humanity in their hearts and in their minds, and who left us this enormous legacy of struggle. We ask those Africans who resisted enslavement in the villages of Africa, who resisted enslavement in the shores of Africa, who resisted enslavement in those forts and dungeons, who resisted enslavement in the holds of those ships, who resisted enslavement when they arrived on these shores in the New World. We ask these Africans who ran into the highlands of northeast Brazil and established for 100 years the first free republic in the Americas, the Republic of Palmares, and their last great leader, Zumbi, whose spirit and sacrifice. We ask these Africans who replicated the Brazilian experience and went into the highlands of Jamaica and became the maroon-free communities. We ask these Africans who went into the backwoods of the Guyanas and Suriname and created free republic of the Suramaka and the Ajuka. We ask these Africans who went into the backwoods of Georgia and the swamps of Florida and moved with the Seminole Indians and resisted oppression. We ask these Africans who left us a legacy of struggle and resistance, the likes of which no one in the world has, to be with us, to strengthen us, and give us a vision for the future. We ask these Africans who created and laid for us a foundation of struggle and resistance that was passed on generation after generation, that was passed on to Harriet Tubman, who fought her way out of enslavement and became a symbol of freedom for all of us. Similarly, Frederick Douglass and hundreds of thousands of others fought their way out of enslavement. We ask those Africans who went with Boukman Dessalines to create the greatest revolutionary experience in the history of the world, the Haitian Revolution, leaving us a legacy, the likes of which no one else has had. We ask these Africans to be with us, to strengthen us, and give us a vision for the future.
Let us start our class with a prayer. Heavenly Father, Divine Mother, Friend, beloved God, Jesus Christ, Bhagavan Krishna, Mahavatar Babaji, Larry Mahashai, Swami Sri Yukteswarji, our Guru, Paramahansa Yogananda Ji, Saints of all religions, we bow to all of you. Heavenly Father, Divine Mother, great Gurus, receive our love, receive our desire to love you more, to attune our hearts and minds with your great presence. Om. Peace.
Another thing that happened just a few days ago, which really was cause and pause for concern, the highly anticipated return leg of the CONCACAF Championships Cup. That was between Cavalier and Inter Miami, and it did not disappoint. I was home safely, watching it on ESPN. But I saw that the stadium was full and overflowing. 35,000 football fans from all across the country turned out for the match. Now to catch a glimpse of the living soccer legend from Argentina, which is a country that we've spoken a lot about in this space, Lionel Messi. Argentina, one of the most racist countries in the world, and we've had many conversations about Argentina. Sometimes when we do things and how we do things, we have to put everything in context. And we should ask Messi what happened to the people, the black people, the African people of Argentina. Had that mindset, Messi would not be God. Messi would be Messi business. I know. I love football. I appreciate a good goal. I appreciate a good baller. The stadium was packed. No one thought to ask Messi, what about the black people of Argentina? I would ask him. The Minister of Culture went to meet him at the airport. She's the Minister of Culture, after all, and she's also the Minister of Sport. And so you'd understand to some extent, but she went to meet him. She didn't have to, but she went to meet him. She didn't ask him. But let us ask ourselves, what happened to the black people of Argentina? Because Argentina is one of those countries, the first one to perform genocide, ethnic cleansing. One of the earliest ones, ethnic cleansing, ongoing to ethnic cleansing of African people from Argentina. By the way, we saw that Messi was presented with a jersey with Bob Marley on the front, and I thought, goodness, why not Michael Manley or Edward Seaga? Why Bob Marley? Bob Marley, who you don't even want to make a national hero. And we're not saying that he should be a national hero, but you have rejected the idea of making him a national hero, and then you treat him like he's a national hero. Why not give Messi a T-shirt with Manley or Seaga, since they are the ones you're about to make national heroes? Or what in heaven's name are we teaching our children? What are we telling our children about their future? I'll have more to say on. There's a whole lot to say, but I also have to get on with the program. So I'll come back to some more of what I have to say later on. First, though, let me take a break. Of course, is the son of Mama Fire, and we've had discussions before.
Pele.
Yeah, Pele, that's you?
A Papa Fire telephone call, Mama.
Oh, Papa Fire. Okay, yeah. Greetings,
Mama.
Papa Fire. How you doing?
My Mama, we there hang on, Mama.
Yes.
They are hang on, man.
Yeah.
That's the fire. Give thanks for the energy and give thanks for the Mama Kabu.
Yes, give thanks and give thanks for you. Give thanks for life.
Yes, for the time.
Yeah. And for those who don't know, Mama Fire transcended, and talking to Papa Fire and Pele this morning about the plans for the funeral and the memorial service, also the burial. So, Papa Fire, I know that the plans are well underway. Bring us up to date as to what is going to happen on Friday into Sunday, because I know you're starting with Friday.
All right. To things said today, I know Mama Kabu I made space, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Now let's make Pele talk to the hype and them level.
All right,
Mama?
So Pele is there now. All right, give thanks. All
yeah,
right.
man. So, you come over and finish, we just yell up there and talk to the hype.
All right, give thanks. Yeah, man. Keep the faith. All right, so let me talk to Pele.
Yes,
greetings, Pele. How you doing, my brother?
I'm giving thanks, that we have the opportunity for work with Mama. I'm kind of weird. So our lifetime celebration is on, and we're keeping the faith same way. So we have, big up the radio done. Same way I with my staff and everyone. And I'm keeping the vibration. Yeah. Continue with the Afghan family, yeah, man.
I know that the celebrations for Mama Fire's life that has been ongoing for a while. Tell me what has gone before. What happened already and what's coming up?
All right, a bonfire happened, the Nyabingi happened, which is the celebration of the victory over the Italian in the 18th century, 1894, 1896 vibration coming up. So we did that celebration and energy,
yes.
The victory that saved the boy child. Now we're going into our Mama Fire final rest in Iowa. Yes. And so Friday now is that last night where everyone will go have that gathering, bringing tribute and having a nice vibration on the energy where she love, with our people them. And then Saturday is a break day. But enough one already on the ground same because them coming in from Friday and not leave until Sunday evening. So Sunday morning a bus will be leaving from here, go straight down to St. Mary is the Martin Primary School. That's where she's going to do the ceremony. We're going to have the ceremony for Mama.
Yeah.
And then leave to the Whitehall Cemetery and Leah to rest. That'll start at 11 o'clock and at the primary school. And refreshment and everything over there right around the year. Around the year, the grandfather belong to where Dutch pot them there. No one can miss around the side there.
Right.
Dutch pot right in a Martin right around there. And that's my grandfather place where my auntie and uncle and cousin and thing there. So we're going to set up ital food on that section. 2 buses will be leaving. One will be leaving from Kingston, downtown on our Ward Theatre side, early in the morning Friday. And one will be leaving from Mandeville.
And so for those coming from Kingston and Otrius and places like that, Martins is on the way to Anota Bay. And you heard Pele talk about where the Dutch pot, when you see the Dutch pot, this is like a landmark where the Dutch pot them sell on the way to Anota Bay or on the way to Portland.
Yeah, right near the corner. No one can miss. And if they ask them to easily find it easy because everyone.
And if you're coming from, if you're coming from Portland, it is on the way to Port Maria. So it is, we're just telling the directions that you're heading in. Right.
And then now, I'm moving on with the celebration now. Welcome all who coming in to come early so that we can do the thing on time so that we don't have a late combustible situation with the ceremony. Because we know Mama Fire are the queen and enough one want to touch base like that. So those who is on the paper already sign up, and those who just come in for the open mic, I ask everyone to be on time and schedule the vibration. I have a number for Sister Shelley for contact the bus from that side, from the southern side, Mandeville side area there.
All right, so hold on. So there's a bus coming from Mandeville?
Yes, sir.
All right, so go ahead with the number, and you call Sister Shelley for that bus.
All right, 381 7083.
381 7083. That's Sister Shelley, if you want information regarding the bus leaving from Mandeville. Okay?
Yes.
So where are the other buses leaving from?
One leaving from Kingston, Ward Theatre area.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just a Taiwan. I'm responsible for that one. I was trying to get the number, but I didn't
Who's
get
responsible for it?
So I didn't get the number out on time. So if they call Sister Shelley, they can probably get Taiwan number, same as link to that.
Okay,
bus.
okay. And there's a bus leaving from Buff Bay?
Yeah, one will be leaving from Mama Fire Center and Sunday morning straight to St. Mary.
Is that already full?
No, I don't think that one full. We are arranging that for all who stay on the ground here with us on the Saturday and leaving from here in the morning.
Okay. Okay.
Yes.
All right. Yeah. And for more information, who can persons call?
All right, they can contact I'm at 835-6321. 835-6321.
All right, that's for you, Pele.
Yes, sir.
All right. Okay, so basically, and so just to reiterate, Friday night, what exactly is going to be happening on Friday night? Is it Friday all day, or is it evening into...
Friday night. Friday night. Starting at the evening, having a bonfire and a gathering on the stage and holding a vibes with the people who share Mama Fire and the outer skirt, because the outer skirt is for the public. Out here we have a business setting out on the front part, so that we are accommodating all of the public who passing through and holding a vibes with the family. And then the inner part now, the inner court of the yard where the fire burn, which is the Bingi area, that's for the Rastafari community, in that section, holding a nice vibration. Same way, bringing tribute and whatever entertaining vibration that put for the night. Sometimes we get some surprise fun bringing some beautiful vibes.
Yeah.
Pull that together and make one a nice something out of it.
Yes.
Yes.
And the ceremony itself now is on Sunday at 11 a.m.
Yes, sir.
In Martins. That is at the Martins Primary School.
Yes, sir.
All right. Anything else we need to know before we wrap?
I'm not sure. Not sure that we're packing up any much thing more than asking the people to be orderly and come on time and be respectful in the way or way I'm present myself.
Right.
Because I always say put it good and she like when things put good in a nice manner. So if we do it for the Queen, it'll be beautiful for us as a nation.
Right.
Yeah.
No request on color or that people wear or how people come. Just come. Just put it nice.
We overstand difficulties at the time, and so Fire was that woman. We're never really big and a woolly for something for funeral, but we're trying our best to make sure she laid on royal and hope that everyone have that type of meditation in themselves. Did you see?
Yes.
So people will dress properly. They always do.
True. That's so true. All right. I know that there is a GoFundMe to carry on the work.
Yes, that is out there. Because the Mama Fire Foundation now with our foundation is very important. She did really stand up for some great things in terms of rebuilding a good vibration out of all of the colonial rule and how we be left without any umbrella support. And so I think Mama Fire name now represent that feeding instructor and that protecting instructor. She did it without any sponsorship, without anyone giving anything to her. And I hope that her name now would have live on with the nations to the need to put things together and monitor things in a more professional level for our people that reaching some situation where we went through with Mama Fire and others over the years,
Yes,
sir.
All right. Give thanks, Pele and my brother. Give thanks to Papa Fire, and we'll see you on Sunday.
Yeah, man. To Papa Fire here. Giving thanks to Radio Land again. Rastafari, out of Kabu.
All right. Give thanks, my brother. All the best to the family. All right. So
yes,
Friday.
Mama.
Yes, Papa Fire. So we have all the information, and you take care of yourself now, because I know you two are not doing too well. So make sure you're taking care of yourself.
Yeah, man, I just shouted out to Radio Land Steady and give thanks to KHERU-3 while they stand by and I said,
Yes, give thanks.
And I give thanks to everyone that come in and contribute towards the setting up our things we are going towards Mama Fire,
All right, brilliant.
So I will keep in touch anyway.
Most definitely, and we'll see you soon.
All right, Mama.
All
Love
right,
you.
give
And take
thanks.
care.
Give thanks. Enough love.
Blessed love, Mama.
Seeing the social media replete with the unheard cries of the elderly, returning residents, civil servants, pensioners, me, everyday people whose investments and life savings have been depleted and who have found no consolation, no reasonable explanation or hope of being salvaged. I'm talking from my own personal experience here. I've got a lot to say, but I'm in the middle of things. And they're talking about terrorism and terrorists in Burkina Faso. You're not seeing that fully in the news right now, but it's right there. It's being said at the highest level, in the highest places. Look at the list that the U.S. president just released regarding countries that are on a no-fly list. I think, what do we have? 43 countries divided into colors. Yellow, orange, and red, or something to that effect. So we have a handful that are definitely no-fly. I think Somalia is in that. And then you have the orange, which includes lots of African countries. There's also one part of a list that includes almost every country on the continent of Africa. But what's interesting, the Caribbean countries, Antigua, St. Lucia, Dominica, and Jamaica is playing checkers. I think the Caribbean people, I think, well, not the people, but those who are in charge, there's no time better than now, when it is obvious that we are on our own, for CARICOM to pivot. This is when the word pivot make a lot of sense. Because every single region is going to have to determine how we get ahead. Africans in the diaspora, we have to, I think we're at the point now where, for those who haven't been having a conversation yet, we begin to have the conversation like immediately, and then to say, how do we move forward? Because this is when federation is if we never need it before, we need it right now, regardless of what we're going to call it. CARICOM is not working. Because we are on our own. This is a reset. It's a great reset. It includes an enslaver class and an enslaved class. And Africans, continental and in the diaspora, are not prepared for what has come, which we think it's coming. That's our thinking, that is coming. And I don't know what we're waiting for, but it is already up on us. We're just blind that we can't see. There's a little thing that's being said about China, that China is now living in 2077. We don't hear a lot about China in this part of the world. We don't talk a lot about China the way we should be talking about China in this part of the world. We see that China is conquering on to conquer, to use a biblical phrase. And we see that China has gone out, up and down the globe, and is globalizing the entire globe. And so we see this Cold War because America is fighting for its life because China has taken over. That has already happened. It's just a matter of working out, the details. So this is why we see a lot of what's coming at us, this strategic, organized chaos that's coming at us from the United States that appears to be chaotic, but it is very well thought out, very well planned. So China has done what China, and has been doing, what China needed to do. So they're ready for the revolution. As a matter of fact, they are the revolution. But we are not ready for the revolution. Jamaica has made a move that suggests to me that there's a better understanding of what the situation is, but it also tells me that Jamaica is not necessarily, is definitely not thinking federation, unity, unification, You see that shift, that change in the United States? The Jamaica's ambassador to the United States, Audrey Marks is now a senator, and Anderson, Major General Anthony Anderson, is now the U.S. ambassador to the Jamaican ambassador to the United States. Well, it makes a lot of sense in the greater scheme of things, because if you hear what the U.S. is saying to Antigua and St. Lucia and Dominica, Haiti is on a whole different list. Haiti is on the no-fly list. The other Caribbean countries have to respond to the United States within a few months, I think, or a few weeks. I'm not sure it's a month, but within a given amount of time, about security. Go look and see what the U.S. government is asking of the countries that they have put on the travel ban lists, and those who are in the, I think it's a yellow, because I think it's red, yellow, and orange. But those who are in the least restrictive, but still highly restrictive, those Caribbean countries. Look at, and not just the Caribbean countries, but all those countries on those lists. Look at what is being asked of them. They must report to the U.S. within a certain amount of weeks on security issues. Now, so we have the former head of the military in Jamaica who has participated in a lot of the recent decisions regarding the Caribbean Basin Security Initiative and the militarization of the Caribbean waters as the head of the military, but also the head of the police, the JCF. So he really is the most suitable for the position within the globalist perspective, through the lens of the oppressor and the globalists and technocracy. But through the lens of the masses of the people, of the oppressed and the downtrodden, it is the worst decision. Obviously, they're going to make the decision, as they always do, on the side of the oppressor. So this movement that seemed so sudden to many but really wasn't, is telling us a lot about what Jamaica is expecting and the extent to which Jamaica is kowtowing and genuflecting and bowing down and leaning over and bending down to the power, the fading power, the dying power, the rabid power of the United States of America. This is where we are. So that move on Jamaica's part, I'm sure it will be lauded in the halls of the DOJ and the halls of the Parliament here. But we're also listening at the same time to Mia Mottley in Barbados, who has come out and talked about what's coming from the U.S. Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, regarding Cuban doctors in the Caribbean and continental Africa. And I'll get back to that later on in the program. You're inside of the Africa Forum. This is Running African. Mentioned on air, especially because of the times that we're living in now, and because of Commonwealth Day, and the fact that we're saying for Commonwealth, whether it's Commonwealth Day or not, that we must get rid of the monarchy of England as a head of state of Jamaica, that however we do this, it has to be done. But for Commonwealth Day and going forward, I had suggested that 2 books, more than any, we should be reading for now. Let us focus on these books that I can't underscore enough how important it is to begin the reading. Britain's Black Debt, Reparations for Caribbean Slavery and Native Genocide by Hilary Beckles. And Professor Vereen Shepherd had written in to say the companion book to that, the text to that, How Britain Underdeveloped the Caribbean, a reparation response to Europe's legacy of plunder and power, also by Hilary Beckles. And I did say, I'm not sure, but I can almost bet that iNation would have these books. And iNation sent me a note just at the end of the program to say, and with pictures of the book too, to say, yes, we have them. I have iNation online. Good morning, my brother. How you doing?
Greetings, Sister Rastafari.
Good to talk to you. Long time. Oops, iNation, what causing that noise on your end?
Not sure.
Okay.
Can you hear, right?
We have a bad connection, but you're clear enough. iNation, a little background to you. I know most Jamaicans know you, but people are listening to us from all over the world. A little background to you. You are a Rastafari, Pan-African intellectual. I know you don't want to be called an intellectual, but I'm going to do that. And I think you have read just about every book that needs to be read. And you have moved beyond that. So tell us a little bit about that move beyond just reading and making these books available for the rest of us.
Yeah, so as you know, we're here almost everywhere. Sometimes I wonder if I'm omnipresent, you know? we just pop up all over. Wherever Pan-African or conscious gathering is, you know, iNation usually there. There's either a small table or 3, 4, 5 table of books, you know, layout ready and available for whoever wish to, you know, indulge, you know?
Yes. And you have some of the seminal works of some of the most important authors of the day. Talk to us about some of those works.
Yeah, man, definitely. As you say, we keep it Pan-African as much as we can, you know? So we have the John Henry Clark, we have the Baruti, we have the Dr. Ben Yokanen, Jacob Carradas, the John G. Jackson, the George James, all of those, the classics, you know?
Van Sertima.
Van Sertima, Sheikh Antia Diop, you know? And we also have our Caribbean, our Walter Rodney, our Beckles, you know? Yes. Yeah, and even Vereen Shepherd, as you said, she reminded you about the other book, and I'm wondering, she's so humble, she didn't even remind you about her book on reparation.
No, because we talk about her book a lot in this space, and we'll bring it in another time, obviously, but yes, tell us about her book.
Yeah, man, her introduction to reparation for secondary schools.
Yes.
You know, by she and Miss Hemmings. I think that is a, you know, good one for the children to be introduced to reparation, because reparation is not just for the old, it's for all of us, you know.
Of course, brilliant. We gave away some of those texts, it's a while back, but we gave away some of those in this space also. And I think maybe it's another time we can do that also, because as you said, for the younger readers, this is also very, very important. But have you managed, I don't know how far you've gone into your reading of Beckles, but did you read any of the two texts?
Yeah, I read through the Britain's Black Death initially when it just came through,
Yes.
But I haven't been to the other one as yet.
And how important, because I'm trying to impress on Jamaicans, on our African community, African diaspora, across the globe, it is important to read this book. What's your thinking on it?
Yeah, I agree. Like, there's another book by a Sistrian, which is very much more technical, but I like how Beckles writes. It's like, even the layman can read it and appreciate it and, you know, and get into the whole, you know, the value of reparation, you know, because many of us think like, oh, that is old thing, I really need that, no one will be on reparation, and, you know, so this kind of really make you know, say, no, it's something where it's just, you know?
Yeah.
And if you don't have justice, then it's like, you know, have nothing where just barbarians or savages, you know, so...
And people hear the name Hilary Beckles and they'll probably think, you know, so he's the principal of UWI, and so that it's going to be very highfalutin and academic and so on. But as you just said, it is easy to read, easy to understand. You know, just take it up and read it. What I like about it is that he really outlines what happened in terms of the slavery and the fight for abolition and then the fight for emancipation, and who were involved and the extent to which they were involved. As a matter of fact, one of the best texts that I've read pointing to how the church, the Church of England, was involved in slavery and fought against abolition is in this book, Britain's Black Debt. It is really important to read. So, what kind of optic do you have? Do you have people coming? Do you in terms, because I know you're a mobile bookstore. Let us just say that.
Yeah, even yesterday I was out and a virgin came and asked for it, like the same Becker's book, and I said, "What, you were listening to the program last Sunday?" He said, "No, him just feel like it's time for him to read it."
Oh, you see that synchronicity.
Yeah, that I said, I like the energy there, for real. I say, no, say, yeah, the thing I connect, ancestors, the connect us all over. I'm sure I hear the program and I cover it. Yeah, and it's a virgin way that while him don't come to the table, that's why him don't come to the, I was the first customer yesterday, and, so it was a nice energy yesterday,
Right.
Yeah.
That is serious synchronicity. We love that. So, just to let you know, because we were saying, where's the book available? We know, iNation has it. And iNation, you're everywhere where African people gather.
Yes, basically, and we can look out for first Sinting after mentioning that.
Of course, because first Sinting is coming up later, just a few months away, about 2 or 3.
Because it's happening earlier this year, July 6th.
Right.
So the ones that can mark it on their calendar,
See there, you say it before, Sister P, but that's all right, Sister P. iNation said July 6th.
Yeah, Mama, we're excited about it, man. She know how much that show is to me, She know how much
I know.
Yeah.
So it's out there already, so that is it now. So you will be at First Sinting. Anywhere else in between?
Well, on Tuesdays we are usually at the night market, by Hillcrest Avenue, and Saturday we're at the Ujima market up at Hope Garden.
Yes.
And we just do pop-ups every year, find a little thing happening, and we're mobile, we drive around and sell, and we send books all over the island, all over the world, so, and the social media, we even have a website, so there is no excuse not to reach out, or not to get books from iNation once you truly desire to,
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much, my brother, iNation. Great work. I'm telling you, you're a cultural treasure, a Pan-African treasure on the island here with the mobile bookstore. How is the digital, the convergence of the digital technologies affecting you or not?
I don't really pay much attention, honestly, because, it's like books will always be around. No matter how they might seem like. To me, the only best thing in your hand, otherwise from a book, is your baby or your lover.
There you go. And talk about baby or lover. And you yourself have an anthology, right? Talk to us about your book.
Yeah, well, although the most recent publication was Mumblings of the Heart, Pan-African Love Tale.
Yes.
And from that, there was one in that called Nursery Rhymes. And as Sister said, so we are the Nursery Rhymes. Since you're talking about we need to have new Nursery Rhymes. So I've taken on the challenge, and I'm currently finishing up the Pan-African Lullabies and Nursery Rhymes.
Okay.
So that should be out for this year,
Looking forward to it. And we're looking, and for those who want Mumblings of the Heart, they can also get it from you, obviously.
Definitely. I really give thanks that you did contribute to that as well.
I love it, actually. I love the book, I'm telling you. You took me on a journey through poetry, man, I tell you. iNation, easy,
I'm happy to hear that.
We love the book. All right, so we'll see you soon. I'm not sure if you're going to make it for Mama Fire, but if you are, I know you won't have your books, but if you
it was just the honor her, she's a stalwart,
Yeah, so I'll see you there.
Yeah, I will send out love to the family too, and our condolences to the family as well too,
All right. Yeah, man. Give thanks, my brother, iNation.
Yeah, give thanks, sister. Rastafari.
Have a discussion on the books, but we're giving you more time to read them so that when we open the phone lines to take your call, if he agrees to come on, because I know Professor Beckles, we know, but if you do agree to come on, and I suggest that you agree to come on, that we can have a discussion. Listen to you. Brilliant work. Exams and the CSEC and the CXCs and the CAPE exams. Good morning to you. Morning to all the members of Parliament who got 300% salary increases and aren't doing a damn thing. Morning to, send me a quick text. Do you have that? 20 questions and answers on reparations. And this is one of the last works by Professor Shepherd as director of a Center for Reparations Research. If you contact the center, you can get a copy of, ask them about it. 20 questions and answers on reparations. I don't know if you have this, iNation, but if you don't, I know that persons can also contact the center. Please do that. But let me know, iNation. Send me a quick note and let me know if you have that one. All right, a quick break. My most absolute favorite poets. This is, I love this poet. Is online now. Every time I get a chance to speak with him, I'm just totally passionate about that. And I really do hope that he comes in the studio properly one day and spend one good time with us. And it's just pure poetry all morning. He's brilliant, I can tell you that. Hearing him on the phone is one thing, but seeing him in performance is a whole other situation. So I'm a proper fangirl over here for this next poet who's coming on. Britton Wright on the phone lines. My brother Britton, how you doing?
Hi, Kabu. Good morning. Wonderful Sunday morning to you, and thank you so much for such a warm welcome.
As usual, my brother. And let me just tell our listeners that Britton Wright is a poet who hails from Stony Hill, St. Andrew, and currently residing in Manchester. So he's talking to us from Manchester, I think. His style of poetry is heavily influenced by his passion for music and the love of his rich Jamaican culture. If you listen to him, and I'm sure you've heard him in this space already, his pieces speak on a vast array of topics such as love of country, appreciation of the divine feminine, sensuality and nature, and mental health. And he addresses all of them in with equal poetic styles. And in 2024, he was shortlisted for the Louise Bennett Coverley Prize for Poetry. He also received multiple awards from the JCDC for his entries in their creative writing competition. He has performed as a featured poet and in open mic segments at numerous concerts, conferences, radio programs, literary festivals across the country. And what is also important about what Britton and a team of poets here in Jamaica, what they have done, he is a co-founder of the newly minted JICO. We talked about JICO in this space, which is an organization that curates solutions and opportunities exclusively for the poetry industry. And as when we spoke with JICO that time, you recall they told us that it equips poets to master their craft, protect their intellectual property, operate profitably and sustainably, and serve diverse clientele with the highest level of professionalism. And maybe that is why Britton don't reach in the studio yet, because it has to be profitable and sustainable. Britton, is that why you haven't reached the studio?
well, that's definitely not why, but we definitely need to change that,
Yes.
I definitely need to be in studio, in flesh, one of these days.
Yes, and we just do poetry all morning, right? This is what I'm envisioning. Just a live poetry performance. I invite you as a main performer and JICO as a supporting arm. Did you hear that, Casey? All right. So, but JICO on a whole, really a great organization, and this is where we're going this morning because Poetry Week is coming up. Tell us about that.
Yeah. So what we have going on for the upcoming week is Kingston Poetry Week, and this is something that we pioneered based on our experiences last year. And Casey is just someone who takes her own initiative and leads the charge. So we have what's going on is Kingston Poetry Week, right? And it kicks off actually today. And we have 2 events going on today. So this morning at 10:30 a.m., we'll have a church service at Swallowfield Chapel. That's 5 to 7 Swallowfield Road. Admission is free, and, we're a part of that in terms of the organization of it. So anybody who wants to touch out and bless the week with that, they're free to do so.
What time
so that starts at 10:30 a.m.
Okay.
Yeah. And then we also have a virtual open mic at 8 tonight, and that will be put on by Write a Yard. So if you go on Instagram, just look for Write a Yard, as in WRITEAH and Yard, YAAD. That's a virtual open mic on Google Meets, and it starts at 8 p.m. tonight.
Okay, and so let's just underscore that for a listener. That's a virtual event.
Yeah, it's a virtual event.
Yes, and it's open mic. So once you have the information, and you can tell us what's information, you come in. Is it open to the extent that you just come in and do what you're doing, or do you have to contact someone before?
No, so unfortunately, it's a thing where you have to register.
Okay.
And I believe the registration time is about cut off by now.
Okay.
But it's on their Instagram page, Right Ayard Instagram page. So if they want the specifics to that, they can check out their Instagram page and register for it, or just
if it's not
show up as a spectator, right? Yes. Precisely. Yeah, so that's what we have going on today. And then on Wednesday now, we're going to have a special edition of Pencil where KHERU-3 will be featured on Wednesday from 6 to 10 p.m. And that's at 74 Lady Musgrave Road at Ragamuffin Cafe. So KHERU-3 is actually an international literary organization based in Los Angeles, California, and they focus on Caribbean literature, culture, and heritage. So the organization is actually headed by Steve Russell, and we have some additional collaborations going on, big collaborations for the rest of the week, but I don't want to skip to those days just yet.
Right. So you get to that in a while.
Yeah, so on Wednesday, like I said, we're going to have a special edition of Pencil where KHERU-3 will be featured. So that's Wednesday night from 6 to 10 p.m. And also on Wednesday, we're going to have a virtual online poetry business meetup with Christoph Jenkins, the founder of Poet Life. And he is a big ambassador for poets shifting into that professional side of things. So we have monthly meetups with him because we are officially a part of the Jamaica chapter of the Poetry Business Network. And we have a monthly meetup with him where we discuss our victories, our lessons throughout the month, discuss opportunities. And it's just a wonderful space where poets can link up. And they can potentially collaborate. They can gain advice and experience from each other, So
is this open, the poetry link up for, when is it, Wednesday?
Yeah, it's going to be on Wednesday night at 8 p.m. So it's actually a Zoom meeting. Okay. And it will be aired live on their YouTube channel as well.
Okay, so how can one's whose channel can we catch it on?
So it would be the Poetry Business Network channel.
All right, and all of this information is posted online, for JICO.
Yeah, precisely. So you can access all of these information on JICO's social media.
Yes.
Yeah, and then following Wednesday now, we have what's going on Thursday, which is really cool as well. So visual artist Judith Salmon will be launching a new exhibit entitled Home to Self, Explorations and Introspections in Mixed Media. And this will be held at the Olympia Art Gallery, that's 202 Old Hope Road. Doors open at 6 p.m. So this will feature Casey Garvey alongside a brilliant and talented young guitarist from the Alpha School of Music known as Ryan Wallace. I hope I pronounced his name correctly. So they will collaborate and provide a mixture of poetry and music.
And let me just let our listeners know that Casey Garvey is a brilliant poet. She's worth seeing. Just go, however you go, but just go to see her in performance. One of the young, brilliant poets on this island. Wow. So I like what I'm hearing so far for Poetry Week. I mean, every single day there's something starting today.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. So you're at
Definitely.
Thursday. So anything else on the day that we're having this performance with Casey?
Not something that we are directly involved in.
Okay.
There's possibly other things going on related to poetry on that day, but not to my knowledge where we are directly involved.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. And then Friday is really International Poetry Day, World Poetry
Day. It's World Poetry Day, right?
Yes.
Right. And that's a big day.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so that's where we get to talk more about KHERU-3 now.
Yes.
So KHERU-3 is an LA-based organization that really strives to promote Caribbean culture, literature, poetry, writing, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And what they had in 2023 was their KHERU-3 Poetry Slam, and it's intended to be an annual event. Mm-hmm. So last time they had it in Los Angeles, right?
Mm-hmm.
And some of the best poets in the area competed. And this year they've chosen to fly down to Jamaica, to the homeland, for their poetry slam. And this will be held at Edna Manley on World Poetry Day. Starts at 7 p.m.
Mm-hmm.
So it will feature a myriad of amazing and talented local poets, including myself, who will be competing in this slam.
Mm-hmm.
And it will also feature special appearances by Rika G, that's the hostess of Pen Soul, and Rastakura.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so it's bound to be quite an experience.
Yes.
You know, we have quite a treat for patrons who want to come out on that night.
Yes. And this is going to be, remind us where this is going to be?
It's going to be at Edna Manley College.
All right, beginning
at 7 p.m. And it's going to be at the amphitheater.
All right, and it's your what's the cost? What's the ticket price?
Yeah, there's one moment. Let me just verify. I don't want to.
All right, just to remind you that World Poetry Day is the 21st, and JICO is putting on an entire week of poetry, Kingston Poetry Week. That's starting today, going all the way to Friday. Is it Friday? Does it go beyond Friday? Yeah, I think it does go up to Saturday, I will hear. Did you find the...
Yes, I found the costing of that now. So pre-sold, it's $1,500, and it's $2,500 at the gate.
All right. And the pre-sold, where can we get the pre-sold tickets?
All right, so you can access that via KHERU-3's social media.
Mm-hmm.
So that's at KHERU-3 LA. So you can go to their Instagram page. They also have a Facebook page, and also you can find the flyers or the information through our page as well, and that will show you the poster with all of the details about the event. You can also scan the QR code from there, so it's easily accessible.
And this is JICO, and JICO is spelled Jaiku, so it's JICO Poetry. And they do have an email too, JICO Poetry. Is it Gmail? Gmail.com?
Yes, it's Gmail. Right. And the tickets are also available on Buzzworld, sorry.
Okay. And on Saturday, are you wrapping things up on the 22nd?
Yes, most definitely. So we're going to have another big soiree on the 22nd, and this is actually one of our signature events called Talk the Things.
Mm-hmm.
So that will be done in conjunction with, of course, KHERU-3 once again, Pen Soul, Jamnesia Surf Club, also What's Your Story Jamaica, Jamaica Photography Society. So yeah, we're working with some partners on this one as well. And this will be held at Jamnesia Surf Club in Bull Bay, St. Thomas on the 22nd, and it kicks off at 6 p.m. and the entry is just $1,000, and you will be treated to, once again, fantastic poetry, first-rate poetry. Also, some of the finalists from What's Your Story Jamaica storytelling competition will also be there gracing the stage. People like the likes of Chantel Laws, Nkosi, Kenneth Grant, Simone Fruitree Duar, Joel Jawara Ellis, Kwame McPherson, Frederick Roberts, Maria Barrett, Dujan, the Prophet Crossfield, Suzette Shaw, and also Casey Garvey, and of course myself. So you'll be definitely in for a literary treat.
Yeah, it sounds really good. And I hear Kwame McPherson there too. Okay,
man.
I really do.
Lots of big names.
I have to find myself out there in St. Thomas.
Definitely.
All right. So the entire week sounds really good. Kicking off today with the church service all the way to next week Saturday coming. Brilliant work. Congratulations to Jaiku. I remember when you launched, and I remember, talking to you and the brother who was in the studio just about what Jaiku was and the plans that you all had, and really to see this panning out and just branching out into organically it would appear, but I can just imagine the work that goes on behind the scenes to put all of this together.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. There's a tremendous amount of work that goes behind the scenes, and that's especially thanks to Casey. She's very hardworking and resourceful and very resilient, and we just do our best to support her vision and, just work alongside her.
It is great work. It is really good work.
Yes.
And we'll catch up with you, hopefully within the time or afterwards. But the invitation is open to you and Jaiku to come in, and we just do a Jaiku morning.
Most definitely. And we'll graciously accept that invitation. It's just a matter of coordinating that now,
Let's coordinate. All right.
Yeah.
Have a good one, Britton, and we talk soon. Yes.
Yeah, man. Thank you so much.
I'm sorry we don't have a time for you to perform one, but I really do have to go. Yeah, but we'll hear you throughout the week.
Most definitely.
Thank you so much, my brother. All right.
Thanks for having me.
Guest, and my special guest online is Dr. Devon Taylor of JABEM, Jamaica Beach Bright Environmental Movement, and is senior biomedical research scientist. We always include the biomedical research scientist because we have him literally on tetherhooks, because he thinks that every time he comes on, I'm going to ask him about the vaccine. So I enjoy that actually. Good morning to you. Good morning to you, Dr. Devon. Your time is coming. You just hold it a minute there. Your time is coming.
Greetings, Kabu, and greetings to the whole Jamaica. Yeah, we are waiting. It's going to be interesting. It's a year of science coming,
Yes. No rush. All right, so Devon, we're going to be talking about, we see the Jamaica National Heritage Trust putting out a, what is this? What do you call it? Misdirection.
A dopey story.
A dopey story. There you go. Basically, they say the Jamaica National Heritage Trust has moved to dismiss claims on social media. This is now from the Observer. But let me just say all media houses reported on this. So the Jamaica National Heritage Trust has moved to dismiss claims on social media that members of the public will need to pay to access the Blue Lagoon in Portland. The JNHT's comments follow reports that the Blue Lagoon and surrounding lands will be sold to a private entity and access restricted to people who can afford to pay to use the facility. However, the Jamaica National Heritage Trust, in a media release, said these claims are inaccurate and misleading. The trust maintained that the Blue Lagoon in Portland is available to the public free of charge. The trust pointed out that there have been recent renovations at the facility, including rehabilitation of restrooms, landscaping, and installation of signs and storyboards. It noted that some vending, including craft vending, is allowed on the Blue Lagoon, and space for parking is limited, they say, etc., and it goes on. So, you say this is a dopey story. Why?
Yeah, so I mean, I really want to unpack this for Jamaica this morning, all right? Because there are significant restrictions in accessing the Blue Lagoon. And I'm happy that they point out in the article that they don't.
Well, hang on there. You're breaking up a minute. So say that again. You're happy that?
They have mentioned in that same article that they don't want any land.
Our entire, let me just say, Devon, that our entire connection just went haywire. So I'm not quite sure what's causing that. So move around a bit and let's see if we get a better connection.
Hello?
I know you're there, but it's all, crackling. What I can do is ask you to hang up and let's see if we can dial into a better connection. All right? So hang up from me, please.
Okay.
All right. All right. Can we get Dr. Taylor back online? Let's get Dr. Taylor back online. I lost him there. Okay, let me do this. Release, as reported on by the Observer, from the Jamaica National Heritage Trust, saying that the access will not be denied to Jamaicans at the Blue Lagoon. In a word,
right? And I think putting this whole thing into context, what the JNHT is trying to do is to intentionally confuse and conceal what the real issues there are. Mm-hmm. All right, they are being deceitful and trying to make things unclear because the JNHT, right, does not own any of the 238 acres of land that surround the Blue Lagoon. And the JNHT, in collusion with private interests, have shut down the one free public road that leads into the Blue Lagoon and has routed the Jamaican public over private land. So the Jamaican public do not access the Blue Lagoon through the customary public road. We have to use private land. And that permission can be removed at any time because what they've received is authorization, permission from Blue Oil Holding Limited to walk over Blue Oil Holding Limited to get to the Blue Lagoon. They shut down that parochial road, that customary parochial road. That's what they have done. And so what is the arrangement that the JNHT have with the private landowner? They could be paying them $1 million a year and we have no idea. They could be giving them any other forms of compensation, we don't know. So what the premise of that arrangement between the JNHT and that private landowner to access for the public, getting permission, getting authorization from that private landowner to access the Blue Lagoon, we don't know, while the public road is closed. And so the closure of the public road does not translate into any form of protection. It does not translate into any form of guarantees to the Jamaican public that we will continue to access the Blue Lagoon. Because of what? Because the customary road is protected under law. The Prescription Act of 1882 gives us protection. The court will only recognize our right over that public road. And I think it was intentionally done to take away what we have rights to under Jamaican law and to move us to private land, which we don't have any right, and then take away that when they see fit. Because I have 2 cases of that in Jamaica that we can go into.
All right, so this looks like obfuscation, deliberate, it usually is, on the part of the Jamaica National Heritage Trust. It's sounding like that. So I think one of the things that we need to do is to reach out to the JNHT, and I'll try and do that for next week, hopefully, to see if they'll come in the space and to explain the press release. I didn't see the press release myself, but I've seen all the stories, and there are many written about the press release. Did you see the press release, or are you yourself seeing just the stories written?
No, I have seen the press release. I've read the press release. I read both articles in the Gleaner and in the the Observer. Mm-hmm. And I have to say, right, I am really surprised. that they, the Gleaner and the Observer would carry those articles. And the reason why here is that the JNHT and the Portland Municipal Corporation are both defendants in the case. And they're taking stories from the defendant, and they have not contacted the plaintiffs. They have no communication from Dr. Marcus Goff. They have not spoken to JABEM. They have not spoken to Portland Environment Action or the Blue Lagoon Alliance. They went and they took a story from one side. What kind of due diligence is that? That's no investigative work. So this is also an attempt to tarnish, JABEM and Portland Environmental Action and Blue Lagoon Alliance. They're trying to also discredit the court case. We've been in court for 2 years doing what? If there was no issue there, why would we be in court for 2 years? There's a real issue, Jamaica, okay? And our government have entered into a private arrangement where we don't know about. We are trying to get the details of this through ATI requests, access to information requests. We're trying to get that. And the JNHT has not been forthcoming. So we don't know we're in that contract there. Them not tell we nothing. We don't know what the arrangement them have with this private interest.
Do we know who do we know who the private interest is?
Well, as the private interest is the Blue Hole Holding Limited. All right? That is the entity that really is is the owner of that land. And I can go as far and say that entity is either owned or associated with Sandals Resort International, right? So, we can all go look this up on the company registrar, Blue Hole Holding Limited. That's the entity that owns that land.
And you're sure of this?
Well, we are taking this current information from the Jamaican government website. All right? These are all public. What I'm saying here is public information.
So if you go on the website, if you go on the website now and type in Blue Hole Holdings,
you go to the company registrar site and you search for Blue Hole Holding Limited. You're right. That's the entity there. You will see, one of their investors, one of their big shareholders is Blue Colonial Limited, which is registered in St. Lucia, right?
So there's a company called Blue Colonial with the word colonial in its name?
There is an entity called Blue Colonial Limited, right?
Misnaming that entity. You sure say it's not something else like Color Rain or something like that?
Like you're funny this morning,
Colonial. All right. So Blue Colonial Limited is who? Who owns Blue Colonial Limited? Do you know, or can you say?
We don't know who is Blue Colonial Limited. Blue Colonial Limited is a company registered in St. Lucia, not in Jamaica. Jamaica have to understand this, Many of the times, them register company in Jamaica, and then the owner of the company or the big shareholders them are not registered in another country, and then you track them down and you can't find them. In fact, one of the entities that we brought in this case was an entity that was registered in another country, and we could never find that company. So we could have never served a summons to that company, and then eventually we have to drop them off the case because we can't find them, we can't serve them. These are just sophisticated ways that real estate are, hidden owners are made obscure. All these kind of things happen in Jamaica, all right? But I want the country to really be patient with me for a minute right here. Mm-hmm. And I want to unpack this in a way that we get it.
Yes.
Previously, the access to the Blue Lagoon was over public land, Jamaica. We could just walk down the parochial road. We could just walk down it and walk right into the Blue Lagoon. Right? We cannot do that anymore. It's 1,509 feet a road. We used to just walk straight into the water. It's blocked. And then say you can't go that way. You have to walk over the private land. Now we all know, say, we have yard, we draw a gate, and we lock a gate. When we lock the gate, nobody can come through yard our private land. Now, why the government is supporting the closure of our public road and then tell us we must go walk over private land? Why is that happening? And then we are going to court and we are fight feet. Because that public road is protected under law. It said if we're using the road for 20 years, right, without no interruption, no permission was given to use the road, we have a right to use that road in perpetuity forever and ever and ever. So we're jobbing at do, and we are doing this across the country. What Portland Environmental Action, what the Blue Lagoon Alliance are stand up for, we're standing up for the entire country. To say you know
what I find interesting is that Jamaican people generally are up in arms. They will tear your head off in defense of their views of Donald Trump and what he's doing in the United States right now. They are against, Jamaican people generally are against everything that's happening. They are totally against all the injustices and the oppression of Americans. But the oppression of Jamaicans by the government of Jamaica is no less than the oppression that they are envisioning happening to the people in the United States of America right now. Government can't just close down a road and just lock off people and deny people access to land, to water, to salt water, to fresh water, and they can do that over and over and over again using a colonial law. I hear Jamaican people up in arms now because Donald Trump has gone for a 1787 law to back up everything that he's doing. But we are not much different. It's the same kind of laws that we have gone for in Jamaica, that the government draw for and is using against the people of Jamaica. What Donald Trump is doing is really just taking a leaf out of the government of Jamaica, the two administrations over time book in what you envision as him oppressing the people. I say this, Dr. Taylor, because there is no outcry in the media in Jamaica in the way you hear people in the media in Jamaica talking about what's happening in the United States of America. They are not able to envision our own oppression on this land. But we feel it hard for everybody else who we assume are being oppressed in the United States of America. This is basically what's happening here.
You are very correct. And I would say to that the Beach Control Act that you also refer to as the oppression, the tool of oppression that is facilitating this, okay, is a colonial era law and is protected by colonial era saving clause laws, because this act it's discriminating and violating the rights of Jamaican people to access their beaches. And if we were so interested in rights and, protection from oppression, and democracy, then we would stand up. But the political class, okay, have for 69 years supported this legislation and have not changed a word in it in the benefit of the Jamaican people. They have not. Both sides have not been doing it. Right? So yes, we get up in the arms of all the things that happen around the world and pressure their yard and oppression that Jamaica. Now the economic justice on social media, you go to Jabin, you will see what the Blue Lagoon Alliance members are experiencing in the Blue Lagoon. Right? There's no rafting, no boat tour. Them shut them down. While what? While all who own properties in there can frolic and use the entire lagoon as their swimming pool. That's what they're doing. The JNHC have a donation box down there. They're collecting money. I don't know what they're doing with the money. I don't know who they're giving the money. They have a book down there that registering people's name down there. I don't know what is the purpose of that. And then close the customary road. We have real oppression issue, economic oppression, social oppression in Jamaica, and it is happening right in the Blue Lagoon, and it's happening across the entire Jamaica. And me want them know, say, we not tap till we turn it over, because the road where them take away in a Miami Bay, the road where them take away in a Old Fort Bay, them trick the people them, and we are come after them. The road where them take away anywhere around Jamaica will lead to the ocean, will lead to the sea, will lead to our river. Me want the political class to know. I want the oligarchs them to know. I want the rich people them to know. We are home feet of 500 years we survived slavery and we stand up here today. And if it takes 500 more years, remember me make you know that we are going to take it back because it's a real oppression rooted in a colonialism, rooted in an atrocity of our people. And we have enough things to deal with a yard. And we better wise up. The government of the country is corrupt. The constitution and how the government is structured. Because we can't question the minister. The Beach Control Act says what the minister decides to do is not questionable in the court of law. Them things are written in a book in Jamaica. And them things we need to root out. And the silence across the nation is just deafening.
It's phenomenal. It's phenomenal because you see...
How can we live in our country where we don't have those rights? Kabu, there is a law known as the Land Acquisition Act of 1947, right? What that act allows the government to do is to acquire land in the interest of the people of the country. Then use it all the while to take off pieces of people's land to expand road, to build any kind of, facility, to dump up in seas and make additional, structures. The law is commonly used in Jamaica. And there are 238 acres of land around the Blue Lagoon. And you know where the JNHC office is in the Blue Lagoon? It's on the side of the parochial road in a little shed. While the government have tools that they could claw back lands in the Blue Lagoon to properly structure and set up things. So the government of Jamaica are squat in the Blue Lagoon. Remember me tell you that. They are squat. And they must destroy the informal economy that supports poor people. Right? The president of the Blue Lagoon Alliance, Mr. Colin Bedford, and his members, they have used their livelihood to send their kids to school, to college. Mr. Fox can't pay him rent. Okay? It's economic injustice, and they're taking away that from the people and have nothing to offer them. And then they come and I publish articles in a paper and I give press releases. But you can't tarnish job in this thing here.
And I'd really like to you see, media is an interesting thing now. We talk about media literacy in this space all the time. And when we see stories like this, that is so obviously on the part of the oppressor and the oppression, then we have to look to media ownership. And so it's even difficult to appeal to our colleagues at the level of journalism or investigative journalism, because obviously these stories are coming out at the level of media ownership. So then we have to go back to look at the enslaver class in Jamaica, because this is a rigid class system. It is more rigid than what we find in India, and India have a caste system that is the oldest racial hierarchical system that we can think of in our memories, older than even what we see in Britain. So that what Jamaica has perfected that kind of a class rigidity. And it seems as if there's hardly any way to get out of it. But the appeal has to be to the masses of the Jamaican people that we can no longer remain quiet in the same way we are upset about the immigration policies of Donald Trump and the other policies regarding everything else in the United States. We must be upset about the policies that are oppressing us here on the island. So what do you say, Devon, to the Jamaica National Heritage Trust and the Ministry of Culture and the Minister of Culture in relation to, in the context of this press release that has gone out and the stories that have been printed in the papers to confuse the people? Can't convince us, so they try to confuse us.
Yes, what I would tell them, for transparency, they need to make public whatever arrangement and agreements they have with All Unlimited, that giving them permission, authorization to use their land to access the lagoon. I would say to them, we need to get rid of the private security off the customary road. Take them off it, all right? Because that is, something that they are complicit with. Because if they're saying that we don't lock this road here, we not pay the security. Because the Jamaica National Health Service said they're not paying the security. The Post of Commercial Code said they're not paying the security. So who's paying the security? Security is still there. They need to remove that. Okay? And we want that written into law that road is covered on a prescriptive right access, right, along with the other tracks and roadway over that land, over those lands. We want those to be written into law that the public will have rights to them in perpetuity. And I'm going to tell them, do not stop trying to confuse the people, right? The facts are the facts, all right? And they're trying to undermine the case. They're actively trying to undermine the court case. The court case is premised on our customary rights, and they're trying to remove our customary rights so we have nothing and no standings in the court. And they must stop it. They must stop it, right? They should stop it, otherwise they're going to really face the full brunt of the law. The Jamaican people can respond. They can respond. We're in an election year. They can respond. They can come out and support our court cases. They can support our marches. They can boycott all of these businesses that are benefit in the Blue Lagoon. And a matter of fact, all across Jamaica that exclude all of Jamaica from the beaches, them. Now, I don't want to pivot, but the JNHT also got itself in the issue of Fort Rocky. And, somebody can tell me if the party did keep last night out of Fort Rocky because they mash up the whole of the place, dig it all down, mash down the dunes, them, take out mangroves, all right, and we hear the uproar. And I want to point out, because the uproar was also on the side of the the opposition and the KSMAC, them all get up and say, boy, I want to go on there for this thing, I should have gone. And then the party keep.
We don't know.
And then the people of the country still got the party, a heritage site, then you destroy the thing with no, environmental impact assessment. You take it all out and then, okay, this is what you just spoke about, that we are in some people's business in some different distant land, but the business in our own country that is undermining our rights. We are not forcefully defending it, and I can understand that written into laws are these things, but the law is not a shackle, Jamaica. We can't change it.
Well,
political people they must change it, and when you tell them to change it.
Well, that is the point, and I think that's the crux of the matter. Change the laws, and there are ways to change the laws. But Jamaican people have to become more active, I think. But the critical mass is also very important, and I think we've got a critical mass to begin the change or to continue this process of change. Dr. Taylor, thank you so much. As I'm talking to you, the National Environmental Planning Agency is also investigating a fish kill along a section of the Rio Cobra between the communities of Zipperton and Vanity Fair. We saw this news on TV last night with, the amount of fish just lie down dead in the river, and people said, but this is where we come for a little every now and again. They're using it now because Jamaican people are very creative, and because we're locked out of so many places and spaces, they have created this little area along the Rio Cobra, which is where they go for a swim from time to time. But the agency is saying now that it appears that the toxic substance is contained in that locale, so there's some toxic substance in there. It is therefore advising persons to avoid using the water in this section of the river for domestic or recreational purposes until further notice. NEPA's initial observation indicates that the cause may be associated with a caustic chemical, and the water appears cloudy and gives off a caustic scent. Devon, you're a scientist. This is what you know. What do I mean by caustic scent and caustic chemical?
Well, it's corrosive, right? It hurts the environment. It degrades, it deteriorates the environment. Degraded the environment, degrade life in the environment. Deplete the oxygen inside there, changes the pH, which is the acidity, alkalinity in the river, and the fish them have to live in an environment that is conducive to their life. And so that just kills everything inside there. That's what that does. It's a chemical imbalance that something pouring there was shouldn't go inside there. So more than likely it's, an alkaline substance is like, sodium hydroxide that just, very, very, high pH that just destroy life in there, deteriorate it, kill all of the plant them, and in turn you kill the fish them. Now, listen, they've also blocked any further registration of fishing in the Blue Lagoon. They're wiping out that business.
Are you serious?
Until we change how the government is structured in Jamaica. All right? Until we establish an environmental ministry that is empowered to protect our heritage, our ecological heritage, rivers, lagoons, stream, mountain, range, lake, wetlands, okay? Until we have that in place, we will continue to have these problems. We need an environmental standalone ministry that is empowered to protect the ecological heritage of the country. And new laws are going to have to be written. Constitution have to be amended to deal with that. And we are run out of time because the biodiversity is decreasing. When biodiversity decreases, right, it's the broad establishment of all the different species that were living at these spaces that are important to sustain life, not only of themselves, but life of the people of the country.
It's an existential crisis.
The Raya Pobre sees the amount of ecosystem, amount of people. It also sends water into Kingstown. So this is some serious problem, and the country, the people must take it as such. We, the people of Jamaica, have lost, right? We have lost something, and I'm trying to figure out what have we lost that we can no longer stand up for our rights. They have trampled upon us so hard. They have taken away the spirit from us to fight, to defend. And what they have done, they have politicized us so much. They have put us into a GLP camp and a PNP camp. And the only way we fight is through the lens of GLP and PNP.
It's a psyop.
Right.
Yeah, it's a psyop. It's a psyop, and we cannot allow them to win. Devon, I'm going to have to leave it there, but I give you that final thought. Go ahead.
It paralyzes the nation. I am from Seartown. I lived it. I witnessed it. A community that was peaceful, that had over 5 miles of access to beachfront and rivers and everything we have. Them turned Seartown in a garrison and turned Seartown in a PMP versus GLP. People dead like fly night. And then them take with everything. Them take with the coastline and them take with Roaring River now and we're boxed in. The same thing them do at Miami Bay. Them do it at Old Fort Bay. Jamaica.
Finally let Jawari, in goodness, the dedication of that man, spend the entire night outside the gates. Good morning, Jawari. Good morning, my brother. Good morning, Aldith. I see you get a proper answer there. But Aldith from Jawari. And, alright, so going down, alright, so I see Aldith and Jawari in one piece of something there, you know. Okay, Andrew Lumsden says, not to mention entire stadium of people cheering the opposition. That's true. That is with the Cavalier Inter Miami match. Probably the most money ever taken in ticket fees for a single sporting event of a stadium. Bleachers was US $35 and a lot of people outside too. And then he says, it does, however, mean that Jamaica not homophobic anymore. Thousands of men spending thousands of dollars to wear a pink shirt with another man's name on it. Saying, look, I'm 10. And then Isis says, Grand Rising Queen Kabu and my running African family. So present for Sunday school. So much things to say. Love, you know. Donna Marty says, and here it was, I thought that the people were sleeping, but they were very awake enough to turn up to see a football player from a country where, according to the former Argentine president, Carlos Menem, they don't exist, but can't turn up to defend their rights to access, to beach access, and against their erasure in Jamaica. Well done, people. Kevin Naireri says, Grand Rising. Juliet Harrison says, present. Irie daughter teacher seated comfortably in class listening to the great. All right, there you go, Irie daughter. How you doing, sister? You call Pringle because over on the other side you says, hi dear, brother Carl loves you endlessly. Love you, my brother. Your unyielding courage to stand up as a sister for all of us in this dire straits slum is greatly treasured and is to be honored by all, and that of even sundries. All right, thank you. So KHERU-3, Sila Selassie honoring my moral obligation to remember, he says, and Barclay Slate. Okay. I see where you're going, my brother. I see where you're going. And then to the, you know what I'm looking forward to, Kwame. Let's talk about it when you're ready. I know the film is coming up, and that's what we want to talk about. Wanda Wayne says, ready and waiting, Queen. So much, my brother Kwame Pianke, he sent me 3 stories out of Niger, I think this morning. Niger expels 3 Chinese oil executives. According to reports, the expelled executives were accused of implementing an unfair remuneration system that paid expatriates significantly more than Nigerian employees. They're also accused of ignoring local suppliers' quotas, refusing to train and upskill Nigerian personnel, being reluctant to transfer technologies, and limiting opportunities for domestic businesses and workforce development. This is exactly how it is supposed to be. So kudos to Niger. You see what's happening there in the Sahel? And then here's another one. Gold Board Technical Committee holds successful stakeholder engagement. When fully operational, the Gold Board is expected to revolutionize gold trading in Ghana, optimizing national benefits through enhanced foreign exchange mobilization and gold reserve accumulation. And we're seeing where gold prices are going up. Are you taking note? There is a reason for that. Everything is connected. There's a big conference, summit that's going to be underway tomorrow in the United States, a digital currency summit. It's from the 17th to the 20th of this month. We should pay some attention to that. And then here's another one. Industry players have embraced Mahama's Gold Initiative that is in Ghana. So there's Gold Initiative in Ghana embraced by industry players. The acting managing director of the Precious Minerals Marketing Company, Sami Giamfi, has stated that industry players have warmly embraced former President John Mahama's Gold Board Initiative. Speaking in an interview on Asempa FM on Monday, March 3, he noted that the concept aimed at leveraging Ghana's gold reserves for economic growth has received widespread support from key stakeholders in the mining and financial sectors. According to him, the initiative is seen as a strategic move to maximize the country's mineral wealth. So things happening there in Ghana. Undisclosed, amid escalating trade tensions and Trump's tariff war, Canada is quietly stacking U.S. dollars by issuing U.S. dollar-denominated bonds. Why does this matter? More U.S. dollar reserves equal more leverage in a trade fight. A preemptive move to stabilize currency markets among Trump's economic threats signals that Canada isn't backing down. It's securing cash before things escalate further. And this isn't just some routine bond issuance. This is a strategic play in an economic showdown. So the trade war is underway. Canada, of course, has a new president, Carney. He is prime minister. He is, he's a World Economic Forum man. He is a globalist. He is just the right man for the job. But in the same way that Trudeau was a man of the World Economic Forum, so he's even more so, if you ask me. And there are 2 sides to him, which is what we see happening with most of the technocrats who are coming in now. They have 2 sides, because technocracy, originally in its purest form, would be in conflict with globalism or with the globalist thinking and populism. But here we have a kind of shift, so we can say it's a kind of a neo-technocracy where we have the globalists who are the technocrats who have come in, and they are situated in the best of places. So let's see what happens at the election. Anyway, it's going to be it's getting hot in here. In the meantime, we must think about ourselves. We are on our own. As a people, we're on our own. In the region, we must think about ourselves. Marco Rubio has always, this is not strange, when we did the geopolitical analysis of what was about to come, especially if Marco Rubio was made Secretary of State, one of the things we discussed was that he has always said that the medical program that Cuba has between Cuba and Africa, Cuba and the Caribbean, he has always said that that is human trafficking. He has always said that that should be stopped. These have been his views for the very longest time. Why is it taking us by surprise? I don't know. But that is a situation. He has spoken about Cuba's practice of sending doctors and nurses to the Caribbean and African countries many, many times, even before he became the Secretary of State. As a senator, he was vocal. He was a vocal critic of Cuba's international healthcare programs, and he has always expressed his concerns about the ethics and conditions surrounding these deployments. Whether or not you agree with him, this has been his view for a very long time. So that what we're seeing now is nothing strange. We should have expected it and made the necessary plans for how we would be dealing with this. Nothing yet from the Prime Minister of Jamaica. We've heard from Barbados, but Barbados doesn't have a horse in the race. And so that, you know, while we appreciate what Mayor Motley has said and while we thank her for jumping into the race, Barbados doesn't have that program. Jamaica has, and many African countries and other countries within the Caribbean, and we haven't heard anything from whether it's the Ministry of Health or did I miss something? I didn't hear anything. Did you hear anything? Marco Rubio says it's human trafficking. He has always said this. This is not new. He's raised this many, many times before he was Secretary of State. So what next? Next online, Dr. Claudette Anderson. Let me just quickly point out something I referred to just now because I said I didn't hear anything from the Caribbean leaders regarding the Marco Rubio statement on forced labor and human trafficking in reference to the Cuban medical program in the Caribbean. So this is coming from the Associated Press. And it says, Caribbean leaders are pushing back against a new U.S. policy that aims to crack down on Cuban medical missions, saying that the work of hundreds of Cuban medical staff across the region is essential. Hugh Todd, Guyana's foreign minister, told the Associated Press that foreign ministers from a 15-member Caribbean trade bloc known as CARICOM recently met with U.S. Special Envoy for Latin America, Mauricio Claver Carone, in Washington, D.C., after the U.S. threatened to restrict the visas of those involved with the Cuban missions, which U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio has called forced labor. Todd said, the U.S. is a strategic partner to CARICOM, but this very important issue has to be dealt with at the level of heads of government. Overall, Cuba has some 24,180 doctors working in 56 nations, with missions boosting healthcare across the Caribbean, especially in impoverished nations with limited medical services. And he continues, well, Kamina Johnson-Smith, Jamaica's foreign minister, said at a press briefing last week, noting that the island had more than 400 Cuban doctors, nurses, and biomedical engineers and technicians. She said, their presence here is of importance to our healthcare system. I don't know. That must have been off the cuff. I don't know. Somebody must have taken her by surprise, because that's not how you respond to a question like that. In any case, so that's what we have from the Associated Press, with the Cuban doctors. So we'll talk more about that later on. All right, my very next guest, special guest online, Dr. Claudette Anderson, is the Executive Director and Professor of OBIA at Unuchi Foundation. She'll tell me if that's the correct pronunciation. Unuchi Foundation, an Afro-Atlantic religious reparations nonprofit. She received her PhD in interdisciplinary studies in cognitive ethnomedicine and religion from Emory University. She also, her research focuses on African-derived religions in the Anglophone Caribbean, as well as Africana indigenous systems of knowledge and oracular traditions. She has published on Afro-Caribbean philosophy, revival religion, and Afro-Jamaican medicine and spirituality. She's also an advocate for knowledge reparations. Her current work involves the modernization and exposition of Ogu Afo Igbo calendar, a cultural technology and epistemological abacus. Her work as a public intellectual is dedicated to addressing misconceptions and misrepresentations of Africana spiritualities and to protecting Africana knowledge systems against prejudice and criminalization. In October 2024, she held the Respelling Obia Conference at the IOJ, advocating for an Igbo-centric understanding of Obia as a person with wisdom and knowledge. She further advocates for the use of Ogu Afo Ndi Igbo, which is the Igbo calendar, as Africana sacred architecture as a tool for knowledge reparation. She has a strong background in community service and is an initiate in the mystery systems of FA. She's very well suited for the space that she's in this morning. Let me go to the phone lines. Greetings, my beloved sister. How are you?
I am well, my beloved sister. I trust you are too. It is wonderful to be here.
I'm telling you, I just read your short bio, and I'm thinking that, boy, you know, if nobody is more suited for this slot than Dr. Claudette this morning. You know, this is really exactly where our thinking is. So thank you for the work. Thank you for taking the time. I'll give you a story. You were here in October 2024, and my very good friend, Bert Samuels, sent me all the information after it was all over. And I said, Bert, this is brilliant. I need now to, where do I go? How do I go? Where do I sign on? And he said, well, it's finished, but next time. So I don't know. And here you are, and it wasn't even through that channel. So it just means that we should have made that connection, and this is the right time. So thank you so much, my sister, for taking the time this morning.
Yeah, man.
I appreciate you. I want to talk a little bit. Let me start, because we're talking about a lot of stuff, but I want to start with your own, something we read just now about you being with a background and an initiate in the mystery systems of FA. What's that?
FA, IFA, AFA is foundational human cognition or knowledge. It's based on a system of 4, do, re, mi, fa. This is the foundation of West Central African knowledge, which we now access through, I call it the artificial fa or afa, which is the modern computer. Mm-hmm. So this is the organic computer that our ancestors and those who are so guided and initiated today used to access knowledge. So it's a divinatory tool, right? At the onset, how do we get knowledge, right? Mm-hmm. These are knowledge systems. So the same way you Google. So this was the original Google, to make it simple. This is what our ancestors used to access information.
Yes. All right. Brilliant.
Does that make sense?
Oh, it does. Clear? Oh, yes, it does. Making a lot of sense. I know that you're in Jamaica for a very special reason, and we're going to be talking about the calendar in a while, but because your work is so varied, I especially wanted to talk to you about some of what we know you're centered in. For example, reclaiming our African-centered spiritual or African spiritual traditions. And you talk about Obia as one of that, reclaiming Obia. Obviously, this is a lot of ears are going to perk up now, because obviously this is something that Jamaicans talk a whole lot about, know a whole lot about for the contemporary Jamaican perspective. But I want you to talk about your work and how this challenges the negative stereotypes surrounding Obia, and to situate Obia in the Igbo tradition, if you will, and African spiritual traditions.
Okay, thank you. So this word, OBEAH, as it has come to us, is a negative rendering of our African ancestral heritage. It is framed as superstition, as fraud, as devil worship. None of those words apply to anything that our ancestors did in the ideal practice of the tradition before the evil others came. None of these words. We don't, in our West Central African traditions, have a word for evil or devil. So these are European impositions on our ancestral rights and, to some extent, failed efforts to free themselves from the evil others. People should know that the criminalization of the literization and criminalization that comes to us as OBEAH happened at the Taki Rebellion in the spring of 1760. Before our ancestors accessed the military intelligence that all cultures have in the attempt to liberate themselves from this evil regime, our practices were thought to be really superstition and stupid.
Mm-hmm.
Right? They paid no attention to it, very little attention to it. One writer at the Taki Rebellion claimed that this black thread of mischief had been running through the race, and they had paid it no attention.
Mm-hmm.
When the rebellion was quashed with the help of the first police force in the island, the Maroons, when they caught the Obia rebels and interviewed them, they got to understand that it was an Obia practitioner who was instigating, in their words, this rebellion, who really, was the commander of the rebels.
My sister, I'm gonna interrupt you. Please make a note of where you are, only because I do have a very quick break. So let me do that and come back.
Sure. Word our ancestors did not know. We know about disharmony. We know about imbalance. We don't know evil.
Mm-hmm.
So this unprecedented word, this unprecedented evil that was cast upon our people was used to refer to their very attempt from this miserable state. So what we have now is spiritual terror,
mm-hmm.
where Obia practitioners are being burnt at the stake, literally crucified. We were post-literate,
yes.
And so we weren't writing. This is in their own words,
mm-hmm.
what they did
mm-hmm.
To our spiritual healers. So that is the British definition of Obia, which has nothing to do with
and it's important to study Chief Teche himself, I think, in this, and where he was coming from with the knowledge system, which is out of Techiman in Ghana, which is in that region between Kumasi and Cape Coast. And these were the highly skilled persons who were priests and princesses and princes and so on. So he was coming from a space with that. We see a similar thing, and you can talk to us about this, though, that in the extent to which we saw these practices, which were African spiritual practices, before resistance in Haiti. We saw that with Bookman and so on. But how prevalent do from your own research was these kinds of spiritual practices before revolutions?
I'm not sure. Before, we never stopped rebellion. And
no, not the rebellion itself, but what they finally criminalized, which was Obia, and not the OBEH became something else. During the Chief Teche 1760 rebellion, I'm thinking that our ancestors, this is what they did. This practice of what they, in the end, criminalized. This is what our ancestors did across the Caribbean, wasn't it?
What they criminalized? How do I say this? What they criminalized from the modern point of view would be the desacralized spiritual practice.
Mm-hmm.
When they begin to talk about fraud, so not so much the business of what people were dressed, how people were dressed, and what they were using, but the business of fraud and appealing and this word devil and evil were not ours. Yes. If Native Americans were jumping around with feathers to resist and to call upon Sobiako to help them in the deity of the East to help them, that would be criminalized too, because it's a form of resistance.
Yes.
So on one hand, the descriptions, even though they're describing what they're seeing in their European terms, right? The pejorative the pejorative interpretations from our side, not theirs, because it's not pejorative to them, because we're fighting them, and disrupting their greed, right? And their colonization, turning everything that we are into refuse. So what we were doing before that, and if we talk about ideal spiritual practice now, what is very interesting, as you mentioned, the Akan, is that by this time, so the British really got the island in 1660-something, because I think they invaded in 1665, and it is said that it took them 8 years.
Yes.
About 8 years to, right?
56,
so
56.
during that time, we have marronage in terms of the Tainos and the Africans who were here, bonding together, to escape. And they're really thorns, as the evil others describe them. And then they begin in earnest now. They said that the trade increased exponentially once the British entered it, and that they were the worst enslavers. These are other European evil others describing the British. And so you have these Africans coming in. But what is very interesting is that by 1730, the word obio begins to be used to describe all of the sacred traditions that we have. So it was almost this organic acceptance that the Akan, the Congolese, everybody who came somehow organically agreed that this word would be a word that would represent them, right? Their spiritual practice. Even though we have a Komfo, we have Dibio, we have all these different priests, to use an English word, which we're forced to, priest class coming in.
Yes.
So this tells us that the Igbos somehow had some form of cultural dominance or spiritual dominance, that word was the word that became used. We also know that this word existed in the Taino culture too, which is very interesting. So what we learned out of Barbados, which is one of the first quote-unquote colonies, was that the people who were doing this obio came from the Calabar coast, right? So there you have the Igbos, right? So you have this ethnic group, and you have this word, and the Tainos have this word, and there are variations of this word. And what we're calling it, this be cognate, that always in West Central African traditions speak to wisdom, and to use the English variation as, Africans spread throughout the earth. This is why in English, bibliography, right? Biography, things to do with life and knowledge. This, even within the English language, this be cognate retains its original meaning. So for the Igbos, which we will use as the foundation, OBIA, which is the Igboan spelling, Obio, is an expatriate healer, an expatriate sage, an expatriate knowledge holder, an expatriate diviner. All this holistic view of life, this holistic way of life that we live, right? The Dibio, the priest, had the highest position in these societies. And so what happened is, we're told that we had apprentices being captured, because what eventually happened, as we learned, the British created wars on the continent, so that we began fighting each other. Again, unprecedented. we had our issues, but we had relative peace. Nothing like what happened when the evil others came. And so you have now, and this is something I said at the conference, this song that we get from from African Americans, Kumbaya, is actually come, Obia. They're calling Obia. Someone's dying, someone's crying, someone's being beaten, they're calling on their spiritualists to come and help them.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yes. And so I just want to say that the expatriate Dibia, the root word is Dibia. D being master or expert, and Bia being wisdom and knowledge. But it also means the traveler. What Bia is to come, which implicitly means to go. So all of these meanings are within, the word. The O represents, it's an article representing masculine, feminine, and also the it, which is neutral. So you're calling God, your chi, your energy, your spirit, whatever. You're also calling the male or female healer to come and heal you.
So how do you see the connections between OBIA as a healing tradition, spiritual tradition out of West Africa, or Igbo spiritual? But I was asking about the connection, and obviously we'll be talking about the differences too, but OBIA and OBEAH, and how does it differ? And
yes, in a sentence, the British OBEAH, OBIA, the British Obia. They desacralized a sacred tradition by criminalizing it and driving it underground. And what do you do if you're being beaten and raped and starved every day? You're going to find ways. So imagine you come over, say, as an apprentice, and you're in this unprecedented evil every minute. There's no peace, right? And you see your fellow sufferers, right? And they're calling, and you begin to help. You probably started out helping, doing the best you can, because, for example, the herbalist, which would be the Dibia Ogu, right? And we have to eat. We were being starved. You have to figure out what the herbs are and all of this, because remember, there was no doctor, and there was no Jesus Christ. I need to put this in. There was no Jesus Christ for the first 100 years. So we did this. We are here today because of what our ancestors knew and were able to negotiate in that evil space that they had. They had to exist in, right? So this thing is driven underground. What is happening in the space to our people? Somebody's in master's house cooking. Somebody is a driver. Somebody is manning the pen, right? You get a little plot of land. You plant something on it, but your next door neighbor, his planting didn't come in, but yours, and so he steals it because he's hungry. So what I'm saying is that they created a situation of lack. The evil that they did was they created a situation of lack that forced us now to become the evil that they are. We begin to steal. We begin to fight. We begin to, all of these things that were alien to us. We're trying to figure out. Imagine coming from a place where you're in line, in touch with the rhythm of the universe. These evil others said they walked the length and breadth of Africa. There was no homeless and there was nobody begging. This is their writing. And look at Africa now. They bring you into this, so you're living in paradise, right? And they bring you're trying to figure out what is happening. And you still have to live. You still have to negotiate what is happening. So you get the house Negro, right, who reports every time a rebellion is being planned. They accept their fate and they tell Massa, right, so they can get some more provisions or something. You're negotiating spiritual terror. You're negotiating moral terror. And you're trying to figure it out. And you become the very thing that is described in terms of fraud and evil. You become they are the ones that create, and they've confessed to this. Mm-hmm. They've written that we know that the conditions of slavery have led the Africans to behave in this way. Mm-hmm. So this is why I said the British obeyed. They turned a way of life. Because remember, and this I can bring in the calendar here. Yeah. We didn't step outside of 7 days to 1 day. We go praise from God. We didn't have this violent image of some skinny man on a cross bleeding to save us. We didn't need to be saved. We were okay, right? And so you have KHERU-3 for 4 days, which in West Central Africa, an ideal conception represents the 4 forces of the universe, right? Not even speaking of elements. We're saying, no, let us, use the synonym of force so that people can understand what we're doing. Yes. When your calendar is grounded in the 4 forces that govern the universe, you're safe, you're beautiful, you're in rhythm. Mm-hmm. Now they've deprived us of these primal forces, accessing daily. Today is Afro Day, which means Earth Day. Mm-hmm. So your calendar is that you're going to do some special thing because today is Earth Day. Your calendar says that you're here on Market Day, one of the 4 forces. You come in as one of the 4 forces. And you're trading. The life on Earth is an exchange of energies, complementary exchange. This notion of opposites is also alien in a way to our ideal conception. We talk about the complementarity of man and woman, the complementarity of East and West, the complementarity of... So you're thrown in this unprecedented situation where this notion of opposite, and you're black, and somebody else is white. So your very identity and your definition of yourself is wrapped up in the other. So it is within whiteness that you come to define your own Africanness. And this is, I hear you. Let me ask you this, because you talk about, when and where Jesus entered and what happened with the forced conversion and so on. Help us to by providing some historical context on how Christianity was introduced to Africa but the Caribbean in particular, and how this impacted the African spiritual practices. Okay, so it's very interesting. I want to start in, I think, the border between Westmoreland and St. Elizabeth in 1754, when Carey's German Moravian missionary came into the space. Mm-hmm. They called him Obia. They called him Obia. This is to show you what the our conception of the word was. Yes. They thought this man came to help them, right? Yes. In Jamaica, we use the phrase, come to help us. Yeah. Then the man is holding him in service and Master dragging the women out of the church to rape them. Then there was something was happening, and there was a famine. And he couldn't help them. He never helped them get no additional food. They was that. Them demoted him. Mm-hmm. This is very important for people to understand. The first Christian missionary to Jamaica was demoted. He was originally called Obia because the expectation was that he was like our people, our priest, again this English word, but let us say our priest, because he comes and he sounds okay, right? And he's telling you to love, and that's not right. That's all the ideal, right? Mm-hmm. But he's telling you this in a situation where he can't prevent you from being raped. He can't do nothing for you. Basically, in telling you must accept this skinny man. What was it? You're outwardly bound but inwardly free. Our ancestors rejected that, and rejected it for some time until George Lyle in 1780s thereabout, having fought on the side of the British for the American War. He was in Georgia. Having fought on the side of the British, obviously the British lost that war, and so he was transported, at that time we could say he chose Jamaica. he was with the Spirit Baptist. So remember that in the U.S., it's the Baptists who first welcomed the blacks. Other congregations were you should see these images, pulling black people out of the church when they started saying, look, we want to, be a part of the church and participate, because, of course, that gives you access. And this is what happened to our people. Let me not go there first. So George Lyle comes in I think it's 1784, and he's a Spirit Baptist. So, our people, we dance and we get possessed, and the ancestors come and we sing. And this is what the Spirit Baptists were doing. And so George Lyle, as a black man, actually Christianized Jamaica. And so this is where now you get what we call Christian Maoism there are 8 denominations of the emanation of Obia. And that's where Christian Maoism comes in. And then after Christian Maoism, in terms of Christianity, you have revival, right?
So we see this kind of syncretism, which you yourself have talked about. I've done quite a bit of research on your work. Yeah. I'm standing by to read your books and the rest of your writing, but it is phenomenal what just your body of work. But you talk about this phenomenon of syncretism, where African spiritual practices blended with Christian traditions, but one wonders, to what extent can Christianity, because I know it's something that you've raised before, can Christianity be decolonized, or have we lost ourselves to the extent within this way of thinking that it's almost impossible to separate from this? Can we decolonize Christianity? Is it possible for that to happen?
I don't think we need to decolonize Christianity. I think we, at this moment in our history, we need to accept that we have many different DNAs, right? The different Europeans who raped our mothers and fathers. People don't talk about that side of it. The East Indians who came later, the Chinese who came later. Within our own West Central African ethnicities. So our ancestors were forced eventually to accept this skinny bleeding man and across violent image. Well, for the first time they were living this violence, and they were told that this energy could save them. And so we do have in our ancestry this energy. People can choose. People are sovereign. They can choose which of their ancestors they want to honor. And a lot of people have chosen their European ancestry because it's easier.
Foundation and the work of the foundation. So let me go there just so we can get that information in the mix that you head. You're heading this foundation. Is it Unuchi?
Yeah, man, you really pronounced it right. Your ancestral memory is intact.
Right intact. I cleared the space for them and them there this morning. So, all right. So tell us a little bit about the foundation, what it does, and your involvement.
Yeah. So we recognize that. The epistemicide, this big word which means the killing of knowledge.
Yes.
This is the deliberate act of these evil others. And how just separated we are from ourselves. And so I decided that, I would frame the work and the research and the quote unquote from the academic perspective, applied aspect of the research, knowledge reparation. We don't know what we know, as the Queen Mother said. We don't even know what we know. Because we've been so separated from our ancestral heritage. And so we say that our mission is empower and heal people through Obia, right?
Yes.
Which is our ideal ancestral knowledge system. And our vision is that we're going to create a world in which Afrikaner peoples know themselves. Because we don't know who we are. We don't know our power. As you just said, our lens is now this quote-unquote white, these stereotypes, these constructs that have nothing to do with human living in any positive way. And we say that we're respelling Obia. And what that means is we're saying we would like you to abandon this particular vision approach, this Eurocentric approach to your African ancestry, and to adopt something that spells correctly, that spells harmony, that spells love, that spells beauty. The Igbo word for human being is madu, a thing of beauty. So you're not born in sin and iniquity. That maybe some other people are, but we're not born in sin and iniquity. We're born.
Yeah, let them. We're not depend what them depend. I just love that. Maybe some other people are.
Yes, but we're not depend that. If people want to, want to conceive of themselves such, they're sovereign. Go ahead. If you're working for it, fine.
Yes.
And so, really, what we're saying is we're making these knowledge systems. These are knowledge systems.
Yes.
These are primal architectural knowledge systems that govern how we really live in rhythm with the earth. And we want to make this available to our people. Even our people on the continent, of course, they went over there to kill the root.
Right.
But as try as they can, they can't, because the root is above and below. And this is an esoteric concept.
Yes.
And so we want to make and this is why we say Africana. If you want to claim your Africanness, whether you live on the continent, West Central, or, anywhere on the continent, if you want to access these systems, this is a way you can access them. If you want to learn what was so great and positive about our people, come here. This is the architecture of knowledge, the calendar, a way of life. This is how we used to live in concert with the forces of the universe. The Igbo say we're here on the earth on market day, right? Eke Oria, Afo Unko, which is to say we're here, we come with these forces. And our journey, this is very interesting, is to become our best self. What we take on this human form to see how we can be human.
So there has to be an understanding. There's a need at the outset to first understand who we are.
Yes. We're not here to worship Jesus Christ. There's no heaven. There's no... This nonsense.
And I want you to expound upon that. But in the Igbo knowledge system that we can all access, who then are we in terms of our composition? Because you reference that we understand why we are here and the form that we're inhabiting.
Yes. And so one way of doing that is to say chi na eke, the self, the deity that you are, the God that you are, and the community. That's all there is. It's you and the community. Just in the same way that Obia is, you either coming or going, right? I come onto this program, I'm going, come off. We're not doing anything else.
We come and we go.
Right?
Yes.
So it's just basic, right? It's right there in front of us, but we've been denied it by this nonsense. So you come in as Madu, a thing of beauty. We know that we're just going to call it Spirit Land, right? And we're here for a time. And what is interesting says we come with music, right? So this is our ancestral heritage. And we're going to go back with music, right? We'd love this to be explored at another time.
Yes.
But we come in and as an individual living in a community. And so we say, because you are, I am, that's a can, right? Live and let live. The Mayans say, in Lakesh, I am another yourself. These traditional societies don't have any concept of what these evil others talking about. So we are here coming in with these forces. And why are they market days? Because of the complementarity of the exchange. Every market in Igbo land has a shrine. Because grounded in Igbo culture is this notion that life is an exchange of forces. Mm-hmm. The optimal exchange between east is west. The optimal exchange between north is south. We don't see them as opposites. They're complementary, right? And when you get your best other, the thing that makes you best is the thing that's opposite to you, that amplifies you, that makes you greater, right? This is primal, right? This is basic.
How is time conceived, especially viewed, conceptualized, especially because we wanted to focus now on the calendar? How is time viewed in the Igbo?
So time is conceived of as 4 long baskets. In Jamaica, we come with time longer than rope.
Yes.
Right?
Let me just talk about the basket.
Now, the rope and the chain where they used to bind us, time is longer than it. Because here we are. They would never kill we. Yes. And we now have the ability to recover. So 4 long baskets. What is in those baskets? Knowledge. So time is conceived of in a holistic way. It's a basket of everything that we are. And so when you look at the calendar, we have presented each day as both a capsule, as medicine, because this is another conception of time as medicine. This is somebody, I want people to think about that time is medicine.
Yes.
But time is also, if we're going to use an English word, your church. Every day is a day that you're a God, and that you give thanks, and that you worship, and that you live in harmony with the universe. So a basket is woven, right? So this notion, when you look at the basket, the weave goes under and it comes back up again like a serpent. So we're going to discuss that when I come to studio. What Christianity has done with the sacred serpent. Again, something else that they've demonized.
Yes.
But the notion of time as a woven basket, as time as medicine, time as something that holds us, right? To quote from this book that they've given us to use. In it we live and breathe and have our being. So it is everything, right? And so what we're saying to people is acknowledge that thing within which you live, because another way of saying it then is that time is God, right? And so within the calendar you have days that Uku, which means a great day, Inta, which means a small day. Again, the complementary binary. One representing the self and one representing, we're going to say, the community, conceived of broadly as everything else that is not us. So even the stars are our community, right? And so, again, we come back to Chi now, aka the self and the community. And that's all you're doing with time. So, for example, there are certain days, listen to the brilliance of our ancestors. When you got to, I think, 11 families, then you moved out to start another community. And of course, each community that is founded has their particular environmental factors. So the Great Market Day would be the day that you sold what you had. You gave to other people. They would come, right? So exchange. So my Great Market Day is what I am selling. My Small Market Day is where I go to the other village and I trade with them and buy what they have. And so they didn't want, the days to clash where people would exchange. And so they organized the communities that they founded as they branched out. Everybody had their own Great Market Day, and then they went. So it's like market and supermarket, right?
Yes,
Supermarket, where you can go to the little bodega or you go to the little deli. But then when it's your time to give, it becomes great, right? And so these are some of the ideas that are grounded in the sacred way of life. And what I want to point out is that we're having this event on the equinox. Igbo calendar the year started at the equinox. Why? We're coming back to equal night and day balance. At autumn and at spring. For us over here, we have our spring. Their autumn is when the yam comes in. There's, the afo, right? So afo yam.
Mm-hmm.
This word is also in a can.
Yes.
But afo.
Wrong afo.
Yes, in Igbo. And it's related to the Yam Festival and to Jankuno, which we, and all of this. So we're recovering a lot. And this is why I say that, we're starting with a basic thing that is non-threatening. Because who go and quarrel with a calendar? I mean,
but listen,
I can't imagine the police arresting me for having my ancestral calendar.
Well, I'm going to tell you something. I got into a very serious quarrel with AI. Like, very serious quarrel. Like, AI tell me off properly because I'm asking if 12 months in a year, months with 31 days, months with 30 days, months with 28 and 29 days, then some days missing. At least a day is missing or 2 days missing. And AI just would have none of it until it finally cussed me up properly and said, yes, there's a day missing. I said, where's the day? And if you add up those days, where are they? And how do we experience that missing day? And then they took me back to Greece and Rome and all of that. And I said, but you see, this is the situation because if you say 365 days, if you say 12 months, if you say 7 weeks, then there is a day or two missing. And how do we experience that day? I know that in our African spiritual traditions, and I suppose even in the Igbo calendar, we would have accounted for every single day. But as it is, we're missing a day, and nobody knows where it is. And I had a conversation with my daughter about it, and she says, "Mommy, I think I know where the day is." And I said, "Where is it?" And she said, "I think we sleep through it." Let me take a break. I'll come back and we'll talk about the event. Take a break. African, and in the final segment of our discussion with Dr. Claudette Anderson, I know we just whet the appetite. We're going to find a way to get her in the studio. But you can also see her at the Institute of Jamaica Lecture Hall. Tell us about that event, what will be happening there, and when, Dr. Claudette.
Yes, so it's this Thursday from 9 to 2. We will be presenting 3 time technologies. The calendar itself, a 13-month, 28-day calendar, which incorporates the forces, it incorporates the Nsibidi language, one of our first African languages. Ideographs, remember me saying we were post-literate. We figured out that this Volipa writing, we dispensed with that long time. So this literacy that we're forced into is actually a regression. We're presenting Nsibidi, we're presenting the Oja. I think if you had attended the Obia conference, you would have been treated to the primal sounds of Igbo classical music, which is a flute in English, which we call the Oja. These primal tones are different from the do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, si, do in a way that we have now.
My head is raising. I'm getting a whole lot of goosebumps and all kinds of stuff. Because I was at a conference, and my favorite instrument is a flute, and if I hear the flute, I'm all over the place. And I just heard you saying that, and I'm thinking, okay, ancestral connection. The conference you're talking about was where? I know I interrupt you, but we'll come back.
Yeah, man. It was in October. You can get it on
that
the
2024 conference.
YouTube. Oh, yes, last year.
Yes, the one that Bird told me about. Okay, good.
Yeah. Right, yes. We brought in an Oja player from Nigeria under duress because I had written that he was coming to an Obia conference and they wouldn't give him the visa.
Oh goodness!
That's a whole other discourse about 10-point reparation plan and nothing being done to implement the plan so that we can actually have the exchange between us and our motherland.
But we just had a minister of government, I think it was yesterday or the day before, who came out and said in response to an uproar on the island, I don't know if you've caught wind of it, about working 7 days, the tax office opening on Saturdays, and the Seventh-day Adventist and the Seventh-day Church of God, they have come out to say well, I hope that this doesn't affect the Christians or Seventh-day Adventists or Seventh-day. And the minister has responded to say they respect every religion on the island, and so they'll ensure that it doesn't impact Seventh-day Adventists. But obviously they don't. It is really just the Europeanized Western religions they're talking about. They're not talking about African spiritual traditions at all.
At all. So they're saying they have chosen, right, their European ancestry. And we now have to insist on our African ancestry, being recognized too. There's no way we can go into a republic without they just need to throw away all those British laws. If we're talking about sovereignty, and yes, we're digressing, but it's an important point you're making. You cannot, how can you go into changing the political sphere of the country, claiming that you're departing from the British system, and you have all of the British laws?
Well,
which includes the demonization of your African ancestry. This thing cannot obtain. It cannot.
My sister. And that is something that we're going to catch it right there. So again, because we have to come back to that also. But it's a brilliant point you're making. So there's just so much to know, and we need people like you in the conversation on constitutional reform. You know, I had a discussion with the minister a few Sundays ago. She was in studio, and this very same question of Obia came up. You know, it's a very interesting thing, and so people like you are people that they need to be reaching out for you know, if it's just the history of it. You have Diane, I think Dr. Diane, Diaketi Diane Stewart has also written a book called 3 Eyes for the Journey. I don't know if you know her.
Yes. Yeah, man. She was my advisor. She was on my committee at one point. We worked together at Emory. Yeah.
Oh, beautiful sister. We have her book right here with us this morning. She's been in the studio a few times. But so let me ask you then. Look here, Dr. Claudette, we're totally running out of time. You know, let us talk about the event. March 20. Yes.
But come on, time long on a rope. Come.
Yes.
We have the calendar physically. We're going to give it to you. Mm-hmm. So you have it. You have no excuse if you want to reconnect. Right. And we're going to have original Igbo salutation because we're sovereign. We don't pray. We come from a place where we weren't begging anybody for anything. Mm-hmm. Prayer means begging in the British European tradition. Mm-hmm. We affirm. Yes, right? Yes. So we have the prayer that's related to the calendar. Mm-hmm. We have an app, okay? For those, you know, you always have your phone, mm-hmm. and so you just click it and you know what date is, mm-hmm. and you're able to affirm yourself in that force, in that energy of the day. Yes. And beautifully, we've partnered with a Dibia who, well, actually he's Obia because he's expat. He lives in Spain. Mm-hmm. Odinala Institute, where they teach Igbo culture, and they have made a watch. First ever Igbo watch. And so we're going to give away one because this is expensive stuff.
So how is this Igbo watch different from the other watch? Because it looked to me like, first one, I listened to you with the calendar and I hear you, I said, well, it looked like Igbo did find it the missing day a long time. And then now, I heard you just now talk about the watch, which means this is time now. So what's different about it?
Well, it's oriented, what they're calling anti-clockwise. So we're talking about the greater wheel, right? Again, higher consciousness.
Yes.
So they call it Igbo clockwise, which is the direction in which the planets, in which the Earth is actually, you know, going around that Zodiac. I'm giving you the Igbo word. They tell us that the word zodiac comes from some other people. Mm-hmm. The Igbo word is Azodiaka. And so we're reclaiming some of that language too. They've elided us out of history. Like, we don't exist. Everything, you know, is Egypt and Latin. And so we're reclaiming some of that linguistic tradition. Mm-hmm. So it's Igbo clockwise as per the Azodiaka. Mm-hmm. We have Igbo national colors. It's right-hand wear, downward oriented. It has a pyramidal circumference. We're talking again about time. 36 pyramids below, 36 pyramids above to mm-hmm. represent that space in which we live. Again, we have the Nsibidi language, the Chi at the center. Again, you know, Igbo, this word is quite complex, but at the scientific level, let me put it that way, it refers to atoms. So again, Egypt, atom, in Igbo, Otu, Atu, all of these words that come to us. Nobody's going to tell you that atom is African, right? It comes from somewhere. We're reclaiming, we have to reclaim this knowledge reparation. People must know that we have contributed so much to human civilization. The reason we're still human, because if we were really angry, this place would blow up. But we recognize that we're responsible. Africans are responsible. We consider ourselves responsible for life on Earth because we were the first peoples. The infinity symbol at the 12 o'clock, it's circadian grounded, and there's solar tracking, so you know by the long and short hand the position of the sun. And so these are some of the basic differences that have been inscribed in the watch, so that people can remember that this is the way we used to live.
So, the day, how would it? What will the day look like?
We start with Igbo music. We give a brief overview of the relevance of Igbo to the Jamaican space in terms of the culture. We kind of give an overview, and I suppose some people would say Igbo retentions, etc. And then I think we have drumming. We have Kumina drumming, Linville, and the African Descendants coming to do some drumming for us. We'll have flute music to start at the beginning. Then we have some poetry reading. We're bringing a child in to just participate with us. That's always important. We would love if schools would come. Yes. But we know the situation in Jamaica.
Yeah. I think it's mock exams for the older ones, for some of them. But in any case, this will fit right into the history for those who are doing history and so on.
Right.
So
which is not taught, right? Because our history isn't taught.
Of course,
It's mind-boggling, but we're going to become a republic and dispense with the British. But we're not even talking about the change in the curriculum. And then I do a presentation on the calendar, and then SMO, who's responsible for the watch, will do a presentation on the watch. And then we have Paula Hurlock, who's been doing wellness and healing work, to talk about
it's a beautiful sister,
as a matrix, an anti-Gregorian matrix. And so we're recovering this notion of matrix, which was originally ours, which, by the way, is the V Odu, which is voodoo. This is a simple thing that they've demonized. If you look the pizza pie, right? This is the zodiac. Each V is considered a womb. Odu is womb, which means matrix, and that's all it is. It's honoring, but it becomes zombie, and we should stop using that word because that word is originally a deity, a god in the Congo system. We should dispense with that word zombie.
At least in the way that we're using it too.
Yes.
But understanding what we're using. But the black woman, I can't remember her name, the African American woman who wrote the script for the film The Matrix, who wrote the whole thing. I've heard her laying out exactly what this is, she seems to have an understanding of what she was about. What they have done with it is a whole other thing. But I saw in an interview and I was literally bowled over to think that she was thinking at this level when she wrote that, The Matrix.
You see, those movies, for example, Star Wars, Obi Kenobi, Yoda,
yes, right? There you go.
They're tapping into something primal.
Yeah, they know.
So the thing in front of us, and we talk about it. Yeah. I was on Mood, and Mood, I was like flying African, but you watch The Matrix, and everybody wants to be Neo. We were Neo. We don't do it as much anymore. This is the point I made. Yeah. You can accept it in cartoons and superheroes in cartoons, but our superheroes are demonized.
Of course, yes.
It's a lot of recovery that we have to do,
Yes. We accepted Black Panther because it came to us the way it came to us, and everybody was talking about Wakanda for a while.
Yes.
But any which way That we have to learn. We must learn. So let it come. All right. So once again, it's at the Institute of Jamaica Lecture Hall on Thursday coming, which is March 20.
20th, the equinox, yeah.
Right. And from 9 a.m.
9 to 2.
To 2 p.m. So get there early. But country people need to leave out quick because country people need to leave out around 6 because the traffic, So to get there by 9.
I think they're recommending that you park up by Hero Circle and walk down.
Okay. Okay.
No parking. But we're going to have also as giveaways a mouse pad, as I said, the salutation and we'll have some authentic time technologies for people to take home and begin the covering because the notion is you repair yourself.
Yes.
We don't want no money. Them can keep their money. If they want to use the money that they get, they will ever get any from these evil others. We want direct flights from the continent to the Caribbean. That's all.
Well, one thing, if we don't take anything from you today, now we're taking the term the evil others. We're running with it.
Yes.
We're running with it.
Running with it.
My sister, thank you so much. This was really a soul feast, this kind of conversation, really at the soul and the spirit level. So thank you so much for that. I look forward to you being in the studio anytime soon. Good morning, Fufie, my sister. Long time I don't see you. We'll come in the studio and dance and sing. But anything else we need to know? Any quick thing before you go? One final thing?
No, not on the top of my tongue now. Okay. Knowledge reparation. Come know about yourself. Let us begin the journey of real reparation, which is that we first deal with our chi, and then we can fix the community. But we have to fix ourselves before we fix the community.
All right.
Or that's what I'm saying. So come and recover some of what has been denied us.
Yes.
And be proud Africans.
Thank you so much, my sister. Thank you so much.
And thank you for today. I look forward to our next meeting.
Yes. We are going to have to arrange for you to be right here in the studio.
Okay.
Thank you so much. It's a complete quote. Imitation is the sincerest form of flattery that mediocrity can pay to greatness. Ones who stole, by the way, and this is just by the way, I think they're the same ones who stole blood is thicker than water, because that is not the entire quotation. The entire quotation is that the covenant of the blood is thicker than the water of the womb. The covenant of the blood is thicker than the water of the womb. So you see, you then change up the two things. Themselves. Narcissists do it. Anyway, so the imitators, they've taken everything. At the end of the day, them can't find a day. If you take a lie, I tell you, check it out. There's a day that is missing, right, from the calendar. You check it out, right? You try and do the calculations. Start with the 365 days, right, and the 7 days per week, and then see what you get. You have 7 months time, 31 days. Then you have 4 months time, 30 days, and you have February 28, 29, that no matter one way or the other. So when you add it up, what do you get? Because if you get caught up in the leap year thing, remember, a leap year is every 4 years. So you're still missing a day. What about when you don't have a leap year? So there is a day that is missing and they don't know where it is. They say that it is hidden, it is unaccounted for in the calendar. And they twist themselves into a pretzel to try and explain it to you, but there's no way to explain that missing day. Apart from the fact that somebody win a war and decide and go and change a calendar. And then somebody else win the war and decide and go and change it again. And every time them do it, them just start from a time. And so everything, that's why we say time is an illusion. Ethiopia might be the closest thing right now to what time it really is, what year it is, and Ethiopia seemed to have accounted for that day. And we're listening to our sister just now with the Igbo talking to us about Dr. Claudette talking to us about the Igbo calendar, and they seem to also, the Igbo people, which is our people, we seem to have also accounted for the day. I know that the people I identify with, which is the Bantu people, that we account for the day very well. Because we come from before the Jebusites. And I'm not talking about... I just have 3 minutes. I can't spend too much time to talk about the Jebusites right now. But I know a lot of you are going to think that we're locking ourselves into the biblical account of who the Jebusites are. It's mentioned in the writings that made their way into the Bible. But the Jebusites are the first people to inhabit that whole area, which was one land. That included the land that is now called Israel, included land that called Palestine, included land that called Africa, included land that called Asia. Pizza that at least. Talking about that, Donald Trump is bombing Yemen. And there are many reasons for this. I know I have just 2 minutes. But there are many reasons why Yemen is being bombed, right? Because Yemen has been quiet for the most part, right? If you notice that Yemen hasn't been saying anything much, and Yemen has been doing what they have been doing, under the quiet and so on, but not anything to write home about. But now we are seeing a massacre in Yemen. They're not showing the pictures, but there's a massacre underway in Yemen. And this is coming on the heels of Iran, China, and Russia meeting just a few days ago and declaring that Iran's nuclear program must continue. Then we had the U.S. Secretary of State meeting with Arab leaders and having those Arab leaders with the U.S. reiterating their mutual relationships. Now you have to look at the Arab, Saudi Arabia, UAE, and all of them, their involvement in Yemen. I'm giving it a skeletal frame. Elon Musk is under fire because Dodge is not trusted anymore. Tesla's stocks are tumbling and the business is losing billions of dollars. Israel is still bombing Gaza and refusing to move to phase 2 of a ceasefire. Instead, we have Netanyahu, who is pushing for an extension of phase 1. So that's happening as we speak. And Netanyahu has no intention of committing to a ceasefire, much less peace. And that is why, much less a 2-state solution. And this is why he is pushing for an extension of phase 1. The Epstein files have not been released. The JFK files have not been released. The MLK files have not been released. The RFK files have not been released. But Trump ran on those and said that they would be released within hours of him coming in. And so the bombing of Yemen is an attempt to change the narrative. And it's a pity that these evil others, that when they find themselves in a sticky situation, they bomb a country. We don't have much time to elaborate on that. Good morning, Mr. Bigay. How are you doing? What a beautiful segue. What a beautiful segue. I'm good like that. I'll just find, as long as you walk in, I can find a segue. It's like, good morning, Mr. Bigay. Right at the end of anything. So, Bigay, did you go to the stadium?
The stadium?
Did you go see? Bigay, I have to, I spoke to you on that day, and you were in the region where you might have been on your way to the stadium to see Messi. To see Cavaliers. Yeah. So my apologies, Cavaliers, because you know I'm on your side all the time. So you never go to the stadium?
No, sir.
So, I asked him in business.
I'm not starstruck like that.
Oh, he's not starstruck like that. But you must have some thinking on it though, Bigay, because, did you watch a match at least?
Huh?
No, you never watch a match? No. Did you at least see the match?
No, I didn't watch it.
No, you never said.
My only observation is the one I shared with you. And I don't necessarily want to hear it in the public at this point.
Okay. No, but me nearly said it. I went very close. So I can just remind, maybe grab the microphone. So I can just remind our listeners that I spoke about this thing this morning, and I talked about, who went to meet Messi at the airport. And, the mic is on, Big? I don't know. Or is it 4? Is which one of them? Oh, a guest. Okay. Yeah. Oh, that's on. Right. So, right. So I spoke about who went to meet messy at the airport. And I talk about, the T-shirt that could have had the picture of Manley or Siago or the other Manley and Bustamante, but instead it had the picture of Bob Marley, which to me is saying a whole lot about cultural appropriation. Because we talk about cultural appropriation only when we talk about white people using black people things. But the way the government and the ministry use Bob Marley, it's a shame, man, I think. No?
It has always, to me, been a love-hate situation between politicians and artists. It is symbiotic. It goes both ways. Mm-hmm. They use each other at their convenience.
But Bob Marley not there for use nobody. Well, they're using him over and over to make political points.
And I'm saying not necessarily whether the artist in question can use them back. They just use the industry and whichever aspect of the industry that they can use.
So where's the reciprocity? Because if you're going to hold Bob Marley up to the standard of being the highest for you, is the highest standard, because you have gone yourself to the airport to meet the player who is arguably the most famous athlete in the world.
Mm-hmm.
And you've gone and you've taken all the pictures and so on, and you're holding up a picture of a T-shirt with Bob Marley on it. I know you don't. Both of us have talked about the T-shirt, and you thought that the T-shirt could be a little bit more. You thought the material was standard level, and it could be above standard.
And let's put it mildly.
Yeah. Yes, because I don't know if you want me to say it, You take the T-shirt.
And that's putting it mildly. But can we fast forward?
Yeah, fast forward. Yeah, go ahead.
No, you see, politicians consecutive politicians over the years, they lambast the industry when it is convenient and then laud it at appropriate times. The industry at the other end, it is fodder for their music. The government is fodder for their music. But yet, when the government chooses to award these artists, they all put on their nice suits and walk up and bow. So it is a symbiotic relationship. It's a love-hate relationship.
But Bob Marley is dead.
And I am saying, Kabu, it is not directed at any particular musician, alive or dead.
So why you never carry a T-shirt with somebody else alive on it then? Why Bob Marley? It is because of who Bob Marley is.
Of course.
So it's and we see the same thing from the tourism industry. It is Bob Marley's image that carries the tourism industry.
It is, and make no joke about it. Bob Marley is the most famous. But it's the most famous Jamaican.
All right.
So I guess it is.
Is he iconic? Is he a hero, or should he be made? We did have this. Both of us were a big part of. We started that actually. Make Bob Marley a national hero, and Rita Marley was a part of that. Nana Rita Marley, and then she had called me to say she'd had a discussion with the family. They talked about it, and they felt that if he was made a national hero, that they would treat Bob in the way that they're treating Marcus Garvey, Molimo. So she didn't want that, right? So so we started the drive. We had a 6-month drive on it, make Bob Marley a national hero. But at the same time, his name has come up again, right? To be made a national hero. And they've had committees that have met with Bob Marley's name, a committee set up by government to name national heroes. And they rejected Bob Marley on the grounds, one of the grounds, that him have too much picnic, him have too much woman. These are the grounds on which they're rejecting him, in smoke ganja.
That is unfortunate. But what needs to be clear and needs to be defined or redefined, it is the criteria by which we award our national heroes? Is the traditional what is it? The traditional criteria, is it outdated for us to examine whether Bob Marley is qualified to be a national hero? Do we need to revisit the definition and the criteria for that, or is it that?
I think they have already done that. I think they did that.
Well, we need to know. We need to know, and then we need to put Bob Marley.
It's out there,
we need to measure him up.
All right, so next week we carry it because right. I know we've gone through. So they've done that, and it's there, and yes, and I'm right. Make we measure Bob Marley.
Let us measure him, because I'm pretty sure that the amount of children you have and whether you smoke ganja or not should not be a criteria.
Dirty head rasta, them don't want no dirty head rasta as no national hero. Jamaica, look at Jamaica.
So make we understand. So make we understand that, the criteria.
so let him. So do not give Messi a shirt with Bob Marley on it. Take Bob Marley off on a tourism image.
Right.
Allow the man alone. And then you have this boy named Charles III who just
no. This is what I am. This is
who just now do a playlist. And a Bob Marley on it. Burn that! No, sorry.
No, I don't even know which playlist you're talking about. I will go and search.
Apple playlist. Charles III. Or Charles III. He made a playlist.
You mean the TURD?
Yeah. Bob Marley is... Why are you going around spelling things? I know you're right in the beginning.
No, I know. You see, I know it didn't go over my head, but I just want to ensure that
and that's why we can't take with you,
it never go over the head.
Who forget to get yourself? Who forget to get
No. Remember, we are here to educate you, So there are some people, there are some persons who are just getting it.
Right, so hence the spelling class.
Right.
All right, same class as spell, but So he made a playlist. And I think Bob Marley's like number one on the list. And he talks about meeting him, or one whole something. That's cultural appropriation at the very highest level, because him, same one, refused to address issues of reparations and Jamaican issues and the call from Jamaica for reparations. And here come out about Bob Marley.
I don't know who is this Charles III.
I feel like bombing a church. King Charles, I'm talking.
Oh, him. Oh. Oh no, I saw it. I saw it. No, I did. That I did see. And I figure it was ridiculous as well.
Boy, we've been trotting on the wine press far too long,
don't it?
We'll tell you, man, we bail. So anyway, so you never go to the stadium. So what were you doing in Kingston on Thursday?
Just personal matters.
So, can't share it. Every day I spell things out.
That's personal.
Okay. So what do you think, though? What are your quick thoughts on the whole stadium thing and Messi or even Cavaliers a cheer for Messi?
No, because we are we are celebrity worshippers.
Oh goodness.
That is what we are. And a celebrity come, we are going to turn out in our
what an indictment
in our colours and
pink.
That means
I had Andrew Lumpton writing on my Facebook page earlier to say, well, one thing is sure that Jamaican men are no longer homophobic. Everybody out there are pink.
Well,
but you know what I find interesting is that you had politicians with their children, private sector people with their children, and all these little middle class children were in Jersey. Inter Miami, Jersey.
Mm-hmm.
At a match that you have a Jamaica team playing.
Oh yeah.
So what kind of message are you're sending to the children?
That is the power of marketing.
So Cavalier market the whole thing. You mean the global marketing of?
Yeah. Mm-mm.
Oh man, but Inter Miami is not like marketed; it's just Messi.
Well, he is certainly the face of Inter Miami. Anywhere Messi go, that is the side that the people are going to cheer for.
Boy,
Messi is a brand. He's the brand.
I know he's a brand, and he's a massive brand.
And he's a bigger brand than
everything else.
Than everything else.
But after a while, man, the match are play now, and Cavaliers. I mean, I watched it. They played better than the Reggae Boys. I can say that. I can say that because I don't like me. What's the score if we go to tomorrow?
Robert might need that as a special guest.
Yeah. So Robert, call me. Yeah. Come and watch a match by ESPN. Right. So, no man, them play a solid game. Like you watch, you know, when you watch a Reggae Boy, they just get up and left it. I say, goodness gracious, you know, from Captain Gone. But no man, they did very well. Them play good and them make me feel good. So it's a pity that it happened the way it did.
Okay, I certainly didn't get a chance to watch it.
But Biggie, you know something that I noticed, and let me just ask you your opinion on it. Online now on social media, every single outlet, influencer who depends sporting thing, sport channels, everybody talking about how beautiful the Jamaican crowd is and how great the Jamaican football fans are. And so, yeah man, Jamaica getting a big thing out there of being like the best because
best
of how we...
Best audience?
Audience because of how we cheered for Messi.
Really?
At the expense of Cavaliers, yeah? It's all positive. it's all positive. What do you think about that?
No, that is, I find that ridiculous, to be honest with you.
Okay.
But as I say, we are celebrity worshippers. It is the bigger name and the most popular name and the star-studded nature of the brand.
For one being a representing a man for Uptown TV.
Bad we bad Gaza, bad we bad. Bad we bad Gaza.